welcome. If you're watching us, you probably watch us on Twitch. My name is Paige. It is Wednesday night, though for you it could be any time of night. And I'm the DM to my closest friends and family in our weekly Dungeons and Dragons campaign that we like to call Don't Split the Party.
Don't split the party.
Yeah, we're going to be recording these. If you're watching, thanks for watching. Let me introduce my closest friends family. We've got Kayleen, who plays our sorcerer, Mistandria Rad. We have Colin, who plays our paladin, Glint. Sorry. God. We've got Kelly, who plays our bard, Phineas. We've got Matt, who plays our druid, Kieran. We've got Sarah, who plays our monk, Brick. We've got Victoria, who plays our wizard, Bira. And we've got Wesley, who plays our barbarian, Buttons. Oh, no.
Broke the rule. You broke it.
We do have a tradition. The last player who won DM Inspiration the session before will give us our recap. So last session, it was Matt, who plays our druid, Kieran. Matt, could you tell us what happened on our last Dungeons & Dragons session?
Sure. Hey, y'all. Kieran here, and I'm sure I'm not the only one that's a little rusty on what's been going on with du jour these days, so let's review. Last time we looked in on our adventurers, they finished up a meeting with Finn's really unreasonably attractive siblings, and finally took some time to rest. Buttons, Glint, and Mest enjoyed a little pampering at the spa, especially Buttons, who came out looking like a prize poodle at a hound show. I set a little birdie back home for the first time since leaving and checked in on my mom and the tribe. Brick took great care to scrub away months and months of dirt, perhaps to catch the certain eye of a certain Darlington twin. Bira did what every hungover wizard about to meet the parents does, and thoroughly stressed out about how to present herself. And Finn, also still hungover, reunited himself with his lavish bedroom for some much-needed rest. After that, the gang reconvened in one of Stasia's rec rooms, taking a collective breath, and finally taking stock of the fact that someone out there summoned a plane-shifting, soul-eating demon to kill us. We discussed the short list of possible suspects we already know, notably Dean, Krail, Duskin, and maybe the Nine Lives gang, or the potential that this foe might be hurling demons at us from the future. To dig deeper into some of the mysteries, du jour made our way to the Soline Athenian, a massive library owned and maintained by the Darlingtons, where Gus and his kitty pal Reba helped guide us towards some useful reading. Our research, as usual, left us with more questions than answers, which seems to be the way things go for du jour, but we did learn that a Nostrobosu doesn't just pop up any old place just because they feel like it. Some competent summoners behind it, and may have lost their own life in the process of trying to take us down. Finn sent a message to Babe, who was in the middle of researching something called the Therian Augury, which, heck if I know what any of those words means, but it sounds pretty important. Before we could find out too much more, Finn was summoned to meet with his folks before dinner, and left us to finish getting ourselves ready for whatever a noble, casual dinner looks like. And then, it finally happened. We met Daddy Darlington. The Duke and Duchess Darlington greeted Finn with warm smiles, hugs, and kisses, which for the Duke seems a bit out of sorts, and welcomed him and his friends to Soline. He learned that his sister was marrying one of the Krumars from the Garridins, and assured him that they were a good family and good for Emily. Final surprise came when Finn was asked to be the guest of honor at dinner tonight, and all that stressing Bira did before was well worth it, because the second that Finn said, "There's this girl," the Duchess demanded to sit next to Bira and learn more about her at dinner. So, here we are, hungry, full of questions, and ready to meet nobility from all over Adertha. Here we go.
Very nice. Thank you, Matt. What a recap. But yes, we have a lot of things happening all at once here in the proper of the Darlington household known as Zistasia, right?
Yeah,
Kelly?
Zistasia.
Stasia is the area, yeah, that they're in.
And the larger continent known as Selene. So it is with like some resting with those who had some hangovers. I know we joked that Bira may have been a little too nervous to meet the in-laws and hasn't quite rested off from her night of drinking the night before from the festival. But what does de jour do in preparation of a dinner with the entire Darlington family as well as some very noble guests?
I'm
Panic.
gonna.
Just a little
Oh
panic.
no, go ahead.
Just panic. Beer's gonna panic. Just a little, like
What is
one
that?
level of panic.
What does that look like for Bira in a guest room in this fancy space?
Kind of similar to what she was doing last time, but now she just can't really sit anywhere. Like she has, oh gosh, I'm just describing me. She just has to have like something in her hands, and she's constantly like fiddling, like she's just sitting on the bed, like latching and unlatching her backpack, like opening her notebook and uncapping the pen, recapping the pen, like walking in a circle. She's just like low level panic, maybe high level panic. She's never met the family before. She's never been in a relationship that one would meet the family before. You're merely a baby.
Does she keep to herself, or does she confide in anyone at de jour, within de jour, I guess you'd say?
Oh, you know, I feel like she would maybe visit Brick, actually. Because Brick's been married. She knows what to do, right? Maybe. Maybe. So, is Brick in her room?
What, the boys? Yeah. I imagine Brick is like kind of like looking at her hands, and they're kind of clammy because she's not used to feeling like the grooves in her fingers. So as you walk in, she's kind of staring intensely at the edge of her fingers, and like they feel raw. They don't feel callous enough.
Vera walks in and, oh, I'm sorry, I was looking for Brick, and pretends to close the door. She's like, ah, gotcha. You look so good today. So different. How are you feeling?
You got me good. Hi, what is my voice? Guys, I don't remember how to play Brick.
Yeah, I can't do my voice today either.
Say Kieran.
Hi.
Kieran! Okay. That was good one, Bira.
How are you doing? Are you ready? Are you ready for the dinner? How are you feeling about it? What do you think it's like? I've never been to a famous place. I'm a little nervous.
I can tell. You need to take deep breaths. Sit with me on floor.
Okay.
Okay. Breathe into nose. Close your eyes and think of the dry desert.
That's a little stressful. We had a hard time there. Is this supposed to help?
Yes. Tell me, what are you worried about? Finn thinks you are nice.
Talking mostly. Answering questions, asking questions, being present. Generally just being in the physical room of everyone else during this dinner is kind of the start of it. Then it goes from there.
That is a lot of words. I think something that I do very often, and it has worked, is I know I am the best person in the room.
Right, okay,
So if you walk in there and you believe, like I believe, then you will not be worried about what these weaklings think of you.
Oh, but they're probably not weak. I mean, they've got this family and this manor, and I don't know. Yeah. And I'm just me.
You should remember all the great things we have done together, like the great feats that we have accomplished as de jour.
I guess we've done some stuff. We did
Not just we, but you, Bira. You are like that big magic wizard thing now. Like there's only one of those.
I guess, yeah.
You can introduce yourself as that fancy title you got.
That seems like a bit much.
Even better, I could introduce you as that fancy title.
That might be a little embarrassing, but maybe if I need a boost of confidence, I'll give you a nudge and I'll wink it. No, that looks like I've got a twitch. I'll do something.
Can you remind me of that title?
I believe it's the Wizard Emeritus.
The wizard Amarete Spira.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's
And then
just, it's
something
just
else.
not right.
Does it make you worried that Finn is like? Are you worried about being near Finn, or just his parents?
It's his parents. Usually when I'm around Finn, more now than before, he tends to calm me down a little.
I was
That's too much.
wondering because, like, if he makes you worried, stay 10 feet away. But if he helps, you should sit right next to him.
Well, maybe I don't want to be inappropriate around his parents, so
I don't
I'll just.
think there are rules like that. When I was in love with Kurt, I made it very clear that we were together so other women would stay away.
How did you meet Kurt's parents?
When?
How? Yeah.
I always knew them. We grew up in the same tribe. His dad was chief.
Mm. But when did he say, "This is Brick, my girl"?
No, it was a long story. We were enemies for many, many years.
Enemies to lovers.
I read some books like that. I bet it was very exciting.
It was. I beated him at a hunt, and I proved my strength, and for some reason, that time he was excited about it.
Huh. Not gonna ask how.
Not like that. Not like that.
It was one bed in the hut.
It was
had to
rock
share it.
hard.
We went
So-
camping.
Mira, this reminds me,
Important.
in my tribe, you have to get approval from the council before you are together. But Card and I knew we did not need them, so we were together without permission, like you and Finn. You do not need his parents' approval. They will accept it.
Didn't mean to mute myself. I didn't even think about needing their approval. Oh, I mean, I just want them to like me, so that when Finn says, "Oh, I'm kind of talking to this girl," or "Here's Bira," she's, I don't know, just so they don't go, bleh.
From what I know of Finn, he is very different from his family.
That's
But-
true.
I think he is the best of them.
I mean, I think so, but I haven't met them. But he's my favorite. Probably even after we made all of them. But
My point is, if he is the best of them, he thinks you are worth his time.
that's
So
nice.
they will think it too.
Oh, thank you for talking me through this break.
And
I'm
remember,
so-
if anybody says something bullshit, you tell me first.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm gonna try that deep breathing thing again, and maybe not the desert, but I'll think of Sundra. I'll think of home.
Think of the sheep. I miss the sheep.
We'll find you a sheep here.
Uh,
We'll find one, or Kieran will make one to talk to you. It'll be great. We'll find a sheep. Thank you, Brick.
anytime. I need work on letters later.
Okay.
I do not remember E.
Yeah. Okay. We'll get it. It'll be great. Let's do it.
E8.
Yeah, something like that.
All right.
Okay.
Goodbye, Vera. The wizard Amaretis.
Yes, but maybe we just keep that between du jour now. We'll see if we need it. It's fine. Okay. And she's you look so great and clean by the way. Okay. Bye. Thanks again. And she closes the door and just like bolts back to her room.
What other unusual combinations du jour are together, and what are they getting into while you prepare for dinner? The last minute, those, like, who would be ready way before dinner's ready? Like, that aren't getting ready till the last minute type of thing.
Buttons was ready We went to
The
lunch
spa.
or whatever.
Yeah.
But I was thinking Buttons might and Kieran just sort of walk in and say, "Do be beautiful. I do feel a bit locked in by these big walls."
I still ain't used to cities. I mean, like Astremium's was the most insane collection of rocks built on top of each other that I've ever seen in my life. I much prefer the countryside in Celine. Glad someone else feels the same way.
I do be used to my rocks being tiny and ground to bits, so that I can sail my sand skiff across them.
Yeah, I'm used to having tiny pebble to skip across whatever lake I'm nearby.
I've been thinking about home.
The maze?
Do not consider the maze my home. More the village outside of it.
Hmm.
But,
Well, is it? Are you thinking about it cause you miss it, or cause of what we
just
just
the
went through?
people.
I know you mentioned you had someone special back home.
The most beautiful in the world.
I'm sure she's a lucky lady. Hey, Buttons. I don't mean to, overstep or anything, but are you happy taking time away from chasing the storms? I know that's what you're trying to accomplish, and I want to make sure you don't feel like we're holding you back at all.
It be me that be holding me back. Chasing the storms, but I think this be right path to be on. But do storms and lizards matter if there be no world?
Yeah, I'm trying real hard not to think about how big this thing goes. I I walked into a volcano one day and suddenly the world might be in and around us. It just kind of feels like a little bigger than I can handle sometimes.
I do just try to keep it small in my head. Do it for me village.
What's it like? I this is so silly, but what's it like having the place you live be in one place all the time? My folks kind of, well, we go where we're needed. Any place there's a tree in trouble, we're on the way, more or less. I ain't never had really one place that put down roots or anything. I don't know. It's a tree joke. Sorry, ignore that.
For me people, it'd be more like finding a place that'd be safe. We wandered so many decades, centuries. Me no formal histories going back too far into the maze, but feel like safety.
Nice. Hey, I know. I don't know how adept you are at helping people get ready with stuff, but typically, if there's a big event in the tribe, we braid flowers into our hair. Um, would you mind just help me? And I just like pull out some flowers that I've druid crafted, and I like get started. And I just like have like buttons like help me like put the flowers in like while I'm braiding. as we're talking.
It would be my honor.
Thanks. You look unreal, by the way. That is quite the job they did on your fur.
It feels nice to feel the breeze again through me fur. Been too long.
You don't think we'll be seeing anybody from where you're from tonight?
Wouldn't think so.
Same here. I doubt many people of the woods are going to be invited to a fancy affair like this.
Aye. We'll have all the fun for them.
You know we always do.
Buttons has a little bit of experience with braiding hair because long hair on boats and shit, so,
Cool.
definitely works on doing his best little braid with the flowers.
Cool.
Finn would be using every minute he has before the time of dinner to like get ready. He would have taken a nice, I don't know if I did it last session or not, I don't remember, but he would have taken a nice soaking bath with like fancy bath salts and things, and has the window open to hear, the birds and shit outside and all of that. And he'd pamper himself, and while he's like sitting in his robe waiting for his oils he just rubbed into his skin to absorb, he would like flip through like an old photo album he has in his room somewhere, and look back at like maybe some pictures when he was kids, when they were kids, and really like look through pictures with him and his brothers, and especially his sister, and kind of reminisce on those times, and kind of prepare himself and kind of keep thinking about the interaction he had with his dad. And like while he's looking through all of these pictures, like their dad's not in any of the pictures really. It's really, the kids, mom, things like that. Dad's never really in the pictures, and he's just kind of thinking of how weird that interaction was. And again, he'd wait till the last minute to be ready, but he wouldn't be late to the
staff
party.
would bring you, while you were getting ready, the staff would bring you a very nice suit of satin and your family's colors.
Oh, I was gonna describe a specific fancy piece he would wear. So like he would put on a fancier jacket he has, and it was from maybe a few years ago, but it's for very special occasions, and it's like a golden yellow suit jacket, and on the back there's a very ornate sun, that represents Solene and the Darlington family, and it's quilted with all these different very fine fabrics for all of the sun rays that are dyed with the Solflorella flowers of Solene. And while he's putting it on, he notices it's a little tighter in the arms, which is a little weird. He doesn't remember it being that tight in the arms. And he
When
goes,
did they get so swole?
"Oh, getting a little swole since I've been on the road. That's nice." Yeah, that's all.
Is it also swelling in the pant region, Kel?
Yeah, I
Is it
got a
swollen
full
down there,
semi.
too?
It's very swollen.
He got bigger down there somehow
It's
while
like
he's
big
been
in the
adventuring?
chest and like in the arms. It's not like too tight, like it fits, but like he just notices a little bit that it's a little tight. He goes, huh, maybe I am changing a little bit. Maybe I'm becoming a real boy now. I wrote it into the Lord's canon. Okay, Finn's getting fit. And when it's time to really be at dinner, I think he would go like kind of leave his room and kind of look for the rest of, he would want to go arrive at wherever dinner is with the rest of the party.
So together.
Mm-hmm.
Any other things people want to mention about what they bring or how they appear at dinner?
Glenn's in like formal like order robes, so black and gold.
Mess is in it. Oh, go ahead.
You please. I'm so sorry.
Go.
I mentioned borrowing a dress from Finn's little sister. I guess I get whatever dress I get.
You do get colors you don't. I don't know if you've ever worn them, Brick, but it is a very fine gown with detailed brocading of a range of red. Yeah, so very fine red dress.
Red on red on red.
Made
Red on red.
Made in the style of for a young girl. So you do look, you know,
That
very
sweetheart
youthful.
neckline.
Yeah, like a very high raised neckline. It's always like the 3/4 length sleeve on little girls, you know. So yeah.
Thank you.
Mess is just dressed in her Sunday best. It's a jumpsuit with sheer paneling and a really pretty, like, golden coral thing that goes up it. It's been in her pack this whole time. Sarah,
Does
no.
Does Mest ever take off her jewelry, or is she always like bejeweled out no matter what day of the week it
It's
is?
always on. She'll take it off to polish it, or
Yeah.
have it be polished. But yeah, no, she's always got her jewelry on. It's like a status thing.
Sick.
So it sounds like Kelly and a few of you had mentioned that you were heading down a little early for dinner. Is that correct? Or like on time for dinner?
I guess it would be on time for whatever time I needed to be there as the guest of honor. So like I wouldn't be coming in, I don't think, the same time as like the rest of the outside guests would be. I would picture myself being there a little bit beforehand, and that time would have been determined, given to me by my parents or whatever, and I would be right on time for that.
Punctual. Okay. So, de jour, as you return to one of the several guest halls of the Darlington Manor, I'd like to picture like in sync, the door kind of closes behind you, your back faces away, and you all look down the hall and you're all speckledly dressed in very fine clothing as you look amongst each other. Reckon clearly someone else's dress. You had just to descend down the stairs. Now, as you make your way past through this hallway, this is a similar hallway that I described when you first arrived at the manor of the Darlington household, where you saw Phineas' sister, Emmeline, kind of walking up the stairs and crossing over with a row of staff members behind her, taking orders and requests. As you return to that staircase, you can see out over the major grand entrance of the manor, and you can see that in the few hours you've been given time to unwind, wash, relax, and reunite for Phineas, the hall itself has been decorated ornately for guests, clearly prepared to host a grand event. There are fancy carpets laid out on top of the beautiful marble tiles. The grand doors are flung open, welcome to the guests, and there are staff perfectly placed, kind of speckled throughout the room with different trays and things to hand off as people arrive. And you can see, though promptly arriving, many of your sisters and brothers are mixed within the grand hall of the Darlington Manor. You will see the young Jacob and
Magdalene.
Yep, Jacob and Magdalene there. You will see your two older brothers, Aldous and Hugh. Who seems to be missing are our twins, Merrick and Emmeline. But at the foot of the stairs, but with two staff kind of on either one of their shoulders is your father and mother Phineas, waiting your arrival as you descend. You can see your mother's smile beams as she sees you in the jacket you once wore here. Maybe a little smaller and a little younger, but she recognizes it immediately. And right next to her is the beaming smile of your father, Duke Elric Darlington of Solene. As you make your way to the grounds, you will see that the queen welcomes you, or sorry, the queen, sorry. God. The Duchess welcomes you all to grab some drinks, to mingle, and prepare for the arrival of not just the Krumar family, but many families who are eager to reunite with the Darlingtons and discuss the estates of Selene itself. So it's not our full bridal party that we're expecting in a week or so, but it's some old friends of the Darlingtons, you could say. Though our youngest may have never met them. Phineas, you might remember some of them when you were a little boy. And as they welcome you to like grab some drinks and kind of meander the du jour, Elric turns to you, Phineas, and says, "I would be honored to have you sit by my side, to stand at my side as we welcome our guests." You know, this is a typical like formal offering publicly to be like the place of honor tonight's dinner.
Okay, yeah. Sounds good.
Okay. As you all grab some drinks, maybe some
Oh, can I say something? Sorry. I feel like this is the first time the whole party has seen my mom and dad. So I feel like I would have formally introduced all of them, kindly, and like even like said like, oh yeah, we go by du jour. Not really getting into the details, but you know, we're an adventuring party.
Do you say
Um,
it like that?
no, I'd say we're Mummy and Daddy, you know, and I go through and I would be like, you know, we're known as the infamous du jour. I don't know if you've heard of us or not. Um, but we have a long night ahead of us where we can tell you all of our fun tales. Um, and I would then introduce everyone and I wouldn't hold any I would just like kind of point at everyone, but then I would pull Biera, and grab her hand kindly, and then pull her forward and be like, "Oh, and this is, you know, the lovely Biera Bendick from Halhide."
Appraising eyes
Yeah,
dart over
and
to
I would kind of
you.
like give eyes to mom, so like she kind of knows if she didn't already know that this is the girl.
So pleased to meet you, Duke and Duchess Darlington.
Pleasure to meet you as well, Miss Bira. You will
Um,
sit by my side.
Oh, okay. What an honor. Thank you, and thank you for having us here. I know we come with finance, but truly, it's an honor. Thank you.
The pleasure is mine, dear. I will ask of your tales. We will have a great evening.
guys, I kind of have some
No.
business stuff I have to do as the guest of honor, so you know, please, like I said, mi casa su casa, make yourself at home, enjoy, don't get into too much trouble, uh, and yeah, have fun. If I'm not right by your side the whole night, because I have official business to do.
Man, is he getting a big head.
Did you guys notice how his arms look really big in those sleeves?
Yeah, do you think he did that on purpose?
I noticed they look good. They look very nice. Good. It's a nice jacket. I think.
Are you all
Oh,
right? Are you all right sitting next to the Duchess?
no, I'll be okay. I'm just not gonna talk.
I know the photo I shared with the Duchess when we were giving the Darlington kind of portfolio. She has a
Mm,
rather like intimidating look about her. Like she looks like that,
yeah.
but like I would say the looks are spot on from what we discussed, but she's not as like visually intimidating. What I will say, she definitely, I still like it though, because she's like one of those beauties where the beauty is intimidating. Like, you're like, oh my God, you're so pretty. But she herself, like how she speaks, and how she looks at you, isn't intimidating, Vera.
That
Okay.
photo's on a very, very bad day. She doesn't
Yeah.
look like that
Yeah.
angry ever.
When was that photo taken, Phineas?
That photo was taken when the twins, at the ripe age of 3, covered themselves in Crisco um, in the kitchen downstairs, and uh, the older boys were crying and having a hissy fit, and she didn't have her staff to help her because she wanted to be more hands-on, and she was going to have a meltdown in that moment.
Hmm.
Mm.
Okay. Um,
That's a fun fact. Paige and Sarah covered themselves in Crisco, and my mom almost had a meltdown when we were children.
yeah, my mom took a nap and woke up, and her infant twins were rubbing each other in Crisco.
Were you slippery? Like if you ran, did she try to catch you and just like?
I
Does that feel
imagine.
good?
I've never. Eh.
Kayleen was ahead of it.
Yeah.
That's a slippery baby.
Thank you, Kayleen.
Thank
Perfect.
That's
you.
peanut. What is on the baby there?
That's peanut butter.
Oh
That is
my
peanut
God.
butter. That's a bottle of God, now I
Peanut
really
butter
want peanut
baby.
butter. So du jour, I do have some things I need to discuss with Phineas, but before we do that, what does du jour get into as guests are arriving? Do you speak to, all jokes aside, or no, there's been interest in getting to know the Darlingtons better? We do not have Merrick and we do not have Emmeline here, who is the bride to be and her twin brother. But are there any other people within the Darlington family, I'm going to say excluding our Duke, Elric, that you would like to speak with?
Are there any other guests here at the moment, or is it just family?
At this point, I like the idea that you guys got to be a front with the family. So I'm giving you guys a few minutes to establish some conversation, potentially develop some bonds or some intel before we start to arrive. But with the guests, but I could also have some guests arriving simultaneously, depending how we prefer it.
I know Kieran would probably like to talk to Aldous.
The oldest.
Hmm.
Okay, let me hear what other people are thinking about before we do into each one. I'd like to picture maybe the
Yeah.
tone and whatnot. Yeah.
I'd want to talk with the youngest again.
Jacob, the boy.
Well, and Magdala
Okay.
to thank her for her dress, you know?
I don't remember his name. The hot one's not here, right?
I think the one you thought was hot is
Thor?
technically,
The Colin lookalike Hugh is here.
yeah, the
No.
Colin looking like you is here.
Okay, you guys are really putting me on blast. I did not mean the one that looked like my husband.
You meant Merrick, the himbo?
Yeah, I wanted the
Merrick-
himbo, but he's not here,
Himbo's
right?
not
He's
here,
not
no.
yet.
Because he's the twin. Okay. Mess is just gonna be on the lookout for the big one. Eyes peeled.
Okay.
What the hell?
The physically largest and most superior of your siblings.
Mess is gonna fight him.
Naked.
And then they're gonna make out.
I was thinking that well, yes, but she's also gonna take over the family name, fighting the largest one.
This is my manner now.
Okay.
Doesn't Brick have eyes for Merrick too?
mean,
You guys
I
gonna
just
fight
said
it
if
out?
he needed a date, I'm not fighting anyone. I owe somebody a life debt, and that could also mean the life of another.
The love life of another.
Love life. Oh no.
Is there food in here? Like, is it like
There are some
cocktail hour?
small. Yeah.
Is it like
there's
aperitifs? Like how
It's
I don't, are
more-
we in the dining room, or is this like just like a room?
It's like I pictured it's like your Italian grand hall. So it's a big open space. It's open enough that you could quickly access outdoors. There are obviously cocktails. I imagine small aperitifs just to keep like the alcohol pouring a bit easier. But it is, I mean, for those who aren't of nobility, it probably feels a bit stuffy. Like it feels like the tray of hors d'oeuvres that go by is so gourmet. You're like, is that food or is that decorations I'm not supposed to touch at the table kind of stuff? It's fancy.
Buttons is trying really hard not to break the tiny glass and really trying to figure out these tiny ass toothpicks that everything is stuck on.
We haven't done rolls. Buttons, I need you to roll a perception check for me.
Oh.
Okay. Let's perceive, y'all.
Let's.
There we go. Tickler. 24. What?
24.
Four.
Wow. Okay.
See,
Uh
15 demons coming down upon the place.
Not quite. What you do see is off to the side of you where you're holding this very tiny ornate glass and toothpick with that's like dangling what looks to be like several like trios of quads or trios of fruits and vegetables. Or at least that's what you can decipher. But off to the side, you do spot kind of lurking around the corner. It looks to be one of the staff here and they seem to be watching you from around the bend. It looks like they're trying to be polite with your perception check. You rolled 24. Looks like they're being rather polite, but they can't help but like watch what you're doing here. And then if you see, if like you make eye contact, you can see this woman looks rather embarrassed and like darts her eyes down really fast.
Call me buttons.
Um, Stella. Sir, nice to meet you.
Hey, Stella. You know I do be an imposing presence.
No,
We are very grateful for everything you've been doing.
thank you, sir. Would you perhaps like a picture?
I
It is silver.
do like me silver. Always liked silver more than I liked gold.
Very well, sir. You'll see she'll quickly scurry off and bring back a rather large silver pitcher, and she'll like gesture for the glass and pour like a very small amount of liquid into a giant pitcher and hand it to you.
Here's my lady.
Very good, sir. You see she'll kind of scurry back off around the corner.
And this feels much better.
It does. So imagine the liquid now in proportion feels very silly.
Yeah, but I can hold it.
Yeah,
You can hold me liquor.
that's right. Okay. For those who are pairing off with some of the Darlingtons, before we do that, I have a quick question just to confirm where one of the person is. Bira, are you speaking with the Duchess? Or is like you're like, I'm gonna save that for dinner?
I'm gonna save that for dinner. I'm in whatever conversation seems where I can just be like unobtrusive enough that I can just like mock sip my drink and just nod. I don't know if that's the girls waiting for our himbo or whatever. Kieran seems like he's gonna have like a real conversation. I just want to like be like Vera's just on like autopilot.
Okay. We can deem that then like after the fact where you feel most
Okay.
comfortable in that regard then.
Is
And
Beer
if
still
anything's
hungover?
funny, it's like a.
Is Beer still hungover, or did I sleep it off or not? I'm assuming I did a little
Yeah,
bit.
yes, that's what we determined from how you
Okay.
rested. You did. I think if we're okay with how Bira kind of used that downtime, you're definitely not feeling 100%. You're definitely like hungover at a party.
Yeah.
So though you might not look hungover because you've been dolled up, you look very lovely. You probably don't feel the best either.
It is not her finest day indeed.
We've all been there. We've all been at a party where we should have just stayed in bed.
Oh yeah.
With that in mind, then, is it okay if we start with Kieran and Oldest, our oldest brother of the Darlington siblings?
Cool.
Cool. All right. You will see all this is amongst the Great Hall. He is lost in a book that's in like a rather like presentational corner of the room, and he's pulled out a book, and it doesn't seem like he's truly reading. It's more so he's just like reading because it's here.
Sorry to disturb you. Seems like you're riveted by that text.
You're being sarcastic.
Never.
I'm Aldous. You are
Kieran, Tide
Kieran.
Runner, of the Namir.
Well, welcome. The name here, I'm not familiar.
That's probably a good thing. We're a nomadic tribe of druids. We help the forests of Adertha.
A rather specific cause.
Yeah. We kind of hop all over the place.
Huh.
I sorry, I was just a little curious about what Solene is like, and what it's been like with all the commotion going on here recently.
Ugh, it's hard to decipher commotion amongst my family. We're a rather loving but outgoing bunch. So commotion's part of our nature.
I would go as far to say that you could say that Phineas's middle name is Commotion.
I would be certain it probably is actually.
um,
But
no,
it's
go
been
ahead.
good. It's been good here.
And I don't mean to speak out of turn. I'm just a simple fellow from the woods, but seems like Finn was a little surprised at Emmeline taking someone so seriously.
It was a surprise for everyone. At first I thought it was all an elaborate prank from the twins to disappoint my father in a more unusual way, but I think she is quite serious.
And these crew Mars are alright people.
Oh, very good. Very good family. In fact, I'm rather impressed with the match. I didn't think my sister was capable of it.
Well, I can't certainly speak to that. I don't know the young lady very well, but it seems like you all of you Darlingtons are somewhat special.
Gotten all that from Phineas.
Well, Phineas is special enough for 10 regular people.
He didn't make a habit of describing us so fondly. He seemed more
I, th-
fond of everything else.
I think that he sees you and your brothers and even Emmeline. And, well, I think he wanted to make something of himself before he really felt at home around y'all.
I'm happy he's getting this opportunity.
I think he's happy too.
And he's made so many friends.
Yeah, it's I've been with him for quite a while. My friend Brick, and I point Brick out, and I've came upon him as he was having a little bit of difficulty in the desert. Let's just say that growing up in Solene and specifically Zastasia maybe didn't prepare him super well for all the great wide world has to offer, but he's learned quick enough.
Did he embarrass himself?
There was a whole thing with a giant armadillo, and you could just ask him about it.
I will insist if you tell any of my brothers of this story, they will pry the details out of you. So it's best to just tell it to me so I can tell it factually.
All right. So, and then Kieran will just like sort of describe the encounter where Finn had been sort of like cornered by this armadillo, and Brick and I came upon him. And then we cooked the armadillo, scooped out the insides, as Brick likes to say. It just I think Kieran, whether consciously or not, is really showing in this moment like that deep affection that he has for Finn and how much Finn has grown and simultaneously how much they all have grown as people since they first met. Be like, and that is just the beginning of hanging out with Finn. I'm sure there's plenty more stories that we'll have to tell y'all.
Well, I was certainly expecting tales from my brother, but I'm eager to hear of your adventures together. Unfortunately, there is no armadillo on the menu tonight, but I think you all enjoy it.
Well, as long as y'all don't laugh at me for not knowing how to use the utensils y'all like to use, I'm a if you can't eat it with your hands, why bother kind of guy. So,
Oh, terribly, but we can make excuses.
I mean, if I'll take a lesson, but I don't know how much it's gonna help.
Not much time, unfortunately. You know what? Let me see. Maybe there's a book. Now, do you think there's a book on etiquette nearby? Like
You
dinner
asking
etiquette?
me?
Yeah. Do you think it's realistic that the Darlingtons would have an etiquette book nearby on dining?
No, because we just know how to do it. We don't need a
So,
book.
You
yeah.
could just say,
Sorry.
you could
Okay.
just say, just start from the outside in.
Kelly does it
Make
start
the
from the
B and the
outside
D.
in.
Make the B and the D. That's Phineas's old like that's the trick you were taught as a kid to know which one's the bread dish and which one's your drink. Bread's on the left, D is on the right.
Are you confusing dishes and cups?
No, no, when you're sitting.
Which
Wait,
is the
what?
bread dish and which is the
Are there multiple bread dishes on both sides? Now I'm confusing myself.
Here
No,
in Celine,
Thing.
there's 3 bread dishes.
No, this is the thing. Wait, but no, now you're
but it's
saying it.
really- yeah, your food. It's basically your food goes to the left and your drink goes to the right.
Right. Maybe it's more for setting up the table more than sitting at the table.
That's
But
not
then you
it.
work from the inside out.
Yeah, it's
So yeah,
definitely for setting up the table because that's where like the dish goes at the top left of the plate, and
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
that's yeah.
Um, Unfortunately, oldest is not as charismatic nor helpful as his younger brother. So I
That's
don't know
okay.
if he'd give you the full etiquette lesson, but he would
No,
probably give you I don't know, I picture like a philosophical quote about etiquette that he thinks would lead you down the right direction. In fact, probably just confuses you. Just to get the tone of how oldest thinks and acts. Um,
um, uh, two things. One, I saw earlier that you were enjoying a pipe in the library. I also enjoy a pipe myself. I'd be happy to share one after all this craziness is going on later if you need to unwind. Um, and secondly, a question of a little bit more sensitive nature. Um, there any been any strange occurrences here in Saline recently? Anything that you'd classify as out of the ordinary? Any rumors, any word coming from anywhere of stuff not quite right?
that's rather an ominous question. No. Everything's been good here. Really good.
Glad to hear it. You ever hear about any strange rocks falling out of the sky? Just let us know.
Okay, I can do that.
I'm gonna gonna go make. I'll see you later.
Okay. We leave Aldous, the oldest sibling. Let's jump over to Brick, where she heads over to a corner where Magdalene and Jacob are sitting propped up on 2 rather ornate armchairs, their feet kind of dangling off the front, facing one another. And they're playing a game where they're clearly making up the rules as they go. So they're like, yeah.
put my earlier conversation with them to the test. I'm gonna sneak up on them.
I don't remember the conversation.
I told them
Sorry.
to watch out for scary, ominous things because I'm afraid we're gonna get assassinated. So I'm gonna see if they're actually paying attention. I'm
I
gonna
need
sneak
you to
up
roll a
behind the
sneak check
armchair.
then.
Okay. Get stealth.
Yeah, sorry, stealth.
Hey, it's not a great one. It's 13. Not 5. They are like children though, so.
Holy shit.
To be fair though, I think I'm wearing like a big, loud, glittery dress.
You don't have to justify
so-
anything. The roll's gonna dictate how it goes. Brick, as you sneak up on these two young children, both not 10 and 13, you are the definition of a predator. Silent, sneaky. And as you make your way, kind of curling your hands over one of the armchairs to leak over, you can see as your eyes turn to to catch vision of where these two children are, they have gone. They've disappeared. And as you take a second to look at what has happened, and they spring on you and jump around your neck, like holding you down. I rolled a nat 19 or a nat 20 on both of these little kids.
I love these kids.
Nothing gets me. Nothing sneaks up on me. What the? Okay. I should talk to your brother about getting you in training. All right.
Magdalene, new rule. You have to be the predator. No, I beat it first. I'm the predator. No, I'm the predator. As they both tackle over you. Still, like they've incorporated you into their game now.
I am the apex, and you guys are my alpha, my betas, and I will get you.
What
I
the
don't know.
fuck, dog? I am not a beta.
Is that Jacob or
Yeah, it was
Magdalene?
Jacob. Jacob.
What a Jacob. What a Jacob move.
Jacob's definitely a beta.
Jacob?
Don't do this.
Anyway, after a few minutes of playing, kind of discreetly because I don't want them to get in trouble, right? Like this is a public event. So with often shushing them and chill out. After a few minutes of that, a few rounds of probably them winning, honestly. I think I'd go
Oh yeah, by the way, thank you for the dress. I didn't pack anything.
You're welcome.
I will give it back to you, and I will make sure it is washed twice.
Oh, that's very nice. You don't have to worry though. I haven't worn that in a really long time. It's ugly.
That is very funny. I am happy we agree. I was about to say, I do not like it, but that was not a nice thing, so I did not say it.
Looks very pretty on you. I would
Are
be
you
caught
sure?
dead wearing it.
This is fun. Your dress is not ugly. I think.
Thank you.
Did you give any thought to my earlier talk with you both?
And they look at each other rather guiltily.
You've heard that.
Well, we were playing a game and then we had to get ready and then Mom yelled at us because I grabbed a snack and I wasn't supposed to, and now here we are.
The reason I keep bringing it up, I don't want to worry you. I just keep thinking I am small, and oftentimes because of it, I am disregarded, and that makes me stronger. And you, like I did earlier, I disregarded your sense of knowing me sneaking. So just keep eyes out, and you can tell me. And Finn, because I talked to your brother, and he is extra big on being safe lately. Like it's kind of boring. So I will tell him if you guys get to see anything. So just tell me. We can make a sound like a bird noise.
How do I make a bird noise?
What noises can you make that sound like animals?
Ow!
Great. I don't know that animal, but I can do it. Ow!
No, it has to go higher.
Auga!
Can we do elephant noises instead?
How does it go?
Um, they're they're really loud and they blow air out of their nose.
Ah,
So
okay.
just like that.
That's kind of quiet, though.
You can tell.
It looks like you are sneezing.
I'm mad.
I'm madder.
Well, that's a signal.
Okay. If you see something, do it, and I will tell Finn, and I will help.
Okay.
Good talk. All right, I'm really hungry. When do you guys eat? It feels like I'm starving.
We have to wait for the guests to get here.
Where did you say the snacks were?
You're gonna and they'll point you to like the pantry and Jacob will like be like on your dress because he's gonna be like, Mom locks the door and I can't reach it, and Magdalene promised Mom she wouldn't unlock it.
I will, if you tell me how.
I like to imagine that me and him go to the kitchen. He talks me through how to open the lock. And
Yeah,
Oh
it's a
my
lock.
God.
He just can't reach the lock.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
all it is. Yeah. So you unlock this
I
storage
can put him on
unit.
my shoulders and he can unlock it.
The power. Okay. Um
Hey, Nikhil, come here.
anything else before guests arrive? Yeah. Okay. Um many guests arrive. Um they're you can clearly say they're clearly dressed formally, notating their nation. So these are noble families from across the world of Adirtha. You will see what looks to be a pair of furbolgs dressed very colorfully, hair completely unbraided, waving curls kind of falling down, great lines down their body, wrapped in greens, purples, oranges, and browns. You will see an Aarakocra with blue feathers, actually, completely blue, and a rather stiff, long brown suit. And a long red scarf. You will see a lizard folk who's very, very large. Like picture like Sheriff of Nottingham kind of illustration style with a big fur lined jacket, very large man, but where his face would where you'd expect like a bearded man, you see a lizard folk with like lizard curled horns and like drooping kind of scaled facial shapes that look like a beard. Um, you will see a dwarf with completely like gray white hair pulled back into a ponytail with a lot of greens and reds. Um, and last and clearly the excited family of the groom is a family of half orcs, mostly green in color, with dark hair. You can see the father figure, clearly the figurehead of the Krumar family, is a full orc, with long fangs, dark, like almost brown, deep brown skin, and his wife, who's human. And there are two half orc children, clearly the male being Etrim Krumar, and what looks to be his sister. Um, those are the guests that make up tonight's dinner. Um, all of them coming from different places in the world. What I will say is one of you will recognize this guest. Yeah. Kieran, you recognize the pair of furbolgs, specifically one of the furbolgs. This furbolg was a local representative of a small town in Tormale, which is a landmass nearby where your tribe mainly traveled Grant. Um, it's been many years, but you recognize this woman to be the leader of a small town that asked exclusively for the help of of your tribe to help with a case of a dying tree.
I would wait for them to formally greet the Darlingtons before approaching.
Okay. Each of these guests, if they arrive and close to the order, I've kind of mentioned them, with the Krumars being last, of course. There is an order of introductions. As I mentioned, these families have not reunited with the Darlingtons in any capacity for many years, some of which never having met the two youngest siblings of the Darlingtons in person. So this process of introductions is rather detailed, starting with, of course, the head of the Darlington household, Duke Elric Darlington, excuse me, and his person of honor, his son, Phineas, are first to greet each guest. Um, I don't have everyone's names, so we're going to get the magic of me coming up with names for most of these on the spot, which is terrifying, and I'm so sorry. Um, but each of them will be introduced to you. I will say at this point, we'll probably establish more in dialogue or like introductions with at dinner, but these families come from the neighboring lands of Ingress, Lunaris, Fernsworth, Adaria, Tormale, and Durlin's Key, which makes up a very large collection of the landmass in kind of like the top left hand corner of our Adurtha map. So this is a meeting of the minds. This is a large portion of the nobility in this quadrant of the world. Though they don't represent the entirety of their land that they come from, they are families of great wealth and history from where they come from. And thus, each come with their own gifts and agendas, potentially. Each of these guests are greeted by the Duke and Phineas. Phineas, I need you to tell me loosely how you plan to introduce yourself and greet these guests.
Am I the one doing all of the greeting and introducing like my father and my mother to everyone?
No, your father is still leading the conversation,
Okay.
certainly. So there you can kind of follow along, but what I'm trying to gauge is what is your spin on these conversations? Are you playing it simple, just kind of going along with it, only speaking when like kind of like addressed? Like, how charismatic or like what are you adding to these introductions? I guess is going to dictate what I want you to do.
Okay, I understand. I feel very odd being in an honorable role next to my father. So I feel like although I'm still charismatic and in a good mood because I'm surrounded by all of my favorite people, I think I would still be a little not so forthcoming and like leading the conversation. I think I would be looking for cues from my dad as to when I can interject and, I wouldn't be taking the lead, that's for sure. I would still be happy and kind, but I don't think I would be overtly running the conversation and the show up there.
Okay. With that, then I will have all the guests begin to kind of like collect amongst the Great Hall with the rest of the shore. The true formal introductions are with the Duke, Phineas, and the Duchess, and so once they get past that point, you're all welcome to mingle, how you could say. It's kind of at this point like there are certainly formal ways to introduce yourself to one another, and you'll see like families, if you're like watching what other families do as they all kind of converge to this point, you will see that there are formal introductions to say, like in regards to small talk, like providing them with any changes of title or achievement or rank. And then it's quick to like small talk. Um, would anybody else be interested in introducing themselves to the guest? Are we waiting to see?
Can I ask one quick question?
Yeah.
I know you kind of said that some of these families haven't been here in quite some time to the point where they haven't seen the two younger kids. Would I have met all of these families previously, or am I meeting any of these families for the first time? And I'm assuming they're all like royal families of some sort or
They all
noble.
have a noble background.
Okay.
Yes. Um, I was open to however you would like
Okay.
yourselves to be familiar with them, Kelly. What I will
Okay.
say is what I pictured is the last time they would have been here.
Yeah.
The last time they would have been here, you would have been very young.
Okay. Got it.
But it's not that these are new faces to you necessarily. And we might have some people who come up to you like informally and be like, well, I remember when you were a tyke, that kind of thing. So that's
Okay.
definitely, but like I was gonna kind of go by what you thought. I wouldn't let
Okay.
you say like you know them all very intimately and they trust you, certainly,
Right.
but
I was just trying to kind of get the vibe for. Okay. I understand.
collaborative.
Cool. Oh, my other question is, are I'm assuming that Aldous and Hugh's spouses are here?
You didn't tell me they were, so I assumed they were left back at their home because they have
That's fine.
children as well.
They do.
So would you want them here? They can be here.
Yeah, I kind of want them there. If
All
that's cool.
right.
I think there's only one. Only Aldous has a son, and he's little, so I don't think he'd be like full handful. Is that fucking up your plans? I'm sorry.
No. So Aldous, his wife, and his young son are here,
And then Hugh's
and then
husband's here too.
Hugh's husband's here.
Correct.
Okay. So yes.
Okay.
So as the guests begin to mingle, is anybody interested in introducing themselves or anything like that?
I feel like when Phineas is formally introducing everyone, like up front, he wouldn't really be talking about what he's been doing over the last few months and things like that. But feel like if after everyone's here and I were to break off into more.
We're not quite there yet.
Okay, never mind. Thank you.
Do you talk amongst one another?
I'll just say I don't have anyone in specific, like based on the descriptions you've given of NPCs. I do imagine Brick has Jacob and Magdala tailing her, openly eating snacks, introducing everyone and saying, like, have you met the wizard Amaretis? And like name dropping Amaretis as much as possible. But that's not any real roleplay, that's just flavor.
I think at one point before we even got here, as we're like heading down to the Great Hall, there would be a little discussion of just like, all right, so we don't really know where people are coming from tonight, but we kind of just been doing our own thing, and it might be useful to figure out what the heck is going on in other parts of the world, see if there's any particular chaos that might be stirring up elsewhere. I guess just keep your ears out. Yeah, look at these NPCs.
Sorry, Paige, I was sending pictures, and the lizard folk was immediately distracting.
Yep.
Mest would have 100% agreed, and then called it intel gathering.
Oh, so like,
Um,
is this kind of stuff you used to do like as a guards person?
Not infrequently. This was generally left to some more senior people, but I am capable of it. Largely capable of it.
Any tips?
Um, don't show your hand. Flattery does get you very far, very often. Um, and there's no shame in aborting the mission if it's gone south.
Sounds fair to me.
How many Garridans are minus, I guess, Ettrim isn't here yet,
Bertram
correct?
is here.
Oh, he is.
He's the last to arrive with his family kind of in tow. His mother and father kind of looped their arms on either side of him.
Okay. Um, and he has one sister that's there with him.
Correct.
Could I have insight checked Ettrim
What are you trying
during
what are you trying to read of him?
his intention with my sister?
You would have to have a conversation to insight on the
Okay.
intent of his intentions with your sister. You
Uh-huh.
can are you
Yeah,
just trying
I
to
understand, you're right.
are you just trying to look at him and decide if he looks like an asshole? What are you
I'm
Well,
doing a vibe check.
you can do that by looking at the picture, I think.
I'm just gonna say he looks hot. The vibe is
Oh, wait,
I was hot.
I cut away before I only got the sister. Okay, I'm getting the vibe.
Is
Okay.
she with him for noble intentions if he looks like that? Maybe they're just a match made in hot.
Mm, yeah. Okay. Um, with
He
that,
has a book in his hand though, so maybe he's like a smart hottie.
I would give more for like during the introductions to the not the Garridan, the Krumar family. I would give more attention to them compared to um some of the other families that have already come through. Um, and say it's great to have you here, and I can't wait for you to be a part of our family, and if Emmeline, um, you know, what's the word I'm looking for? If Emmeline is ready to spend the rest of her life with you, then um, you know, that means a lot, and you must be wonderful people, and I can't wait to get to know you more over dinner. Something along those lines. I would try to be very warm and welcoming, but
A
also
little
try to get the
discrediting
vibe.
to Emily.
What do you mean?
You said if Evelyn wants to be with you forever, like good for you, I guess, essentially.
I'm sorry. I'm doing this terribly. In my general Kelly fashion.
Is she a rather you'll see the mother, is she a rather decisive woman by nature?
And Finn will try to think of what answer an in-law mother would want to hear. Yes. Yes. She knows exactly what she wants. And she gets it. And with that,
With what?
and
With
with that, I
what?
feel like my mom would nudge me.
Yeah, and so with everyone like of the party, of the dinner party arriving in this great hall, there is a lot of mingling, but you will see rather distinctly that Elric, and Phineas's mother and Finn kind of linger by the staircase I described before, where you all came down. The double doors close for the grand entrance way, like indicating everyone's arrived. And you will see kind of like paired off on either side of the grand staircase is the Darlington parents and Phineas, and the two Krumar parents and Ettrim. And rather on cue, the music changes. It begins to swirl, harps and violins, almost like on cue, planned for this exact moment, begin to play a rather romantic song that speaks of the beauty and liveliness and like exuberance of Celine begins to play. It seems like the lights almost grow a little brighter, and the warmth kind of fills the room as Emmeline Darlington makes her grand entrance. With her twin brother Merrick's arm looped into her side, they cross the staircase over top, Merrick's eyes kind of looking rather confidently across the party goers. Emmeline's eyes kind of looking rather dramatically down at herself. As they descend the staircase, their eyes kind of look out amongst the guests, and Emmeline's eyes immediately look to Etram Krumar. Underneath the darker complexion, you still see a blush form. It's rather like budding romance. There seems to be
Okay.
like this little spark happening.
When she was
Colin?
entering,
Just kidding.
it brought tears to his eyes and he wants to quit.
Colin rage quit. Yeah.
He's so
I
sad.
like with the sound, like I know that it's my sister and my brother making an entrance. So like instead of turning my head to look at them, I would be staring at Etram and mostly Etram, but like also his parents while my sister M is making her entrance to like when people like when the bride's walking down the aisle and some people look at the groom. Like that's what I'm doing here is to try to get a vibe to see like how he reacts to her entrance. But you kind of
Insight
explained
check for
that
me. Go ahead. Roll an insight
okay.
check for me.
Inside 13.
Yeah, like I like with the 13 you can see he looks a bit blushing, like under the scrutiny of Emmeline's stare, he's not sure how to act. And maybe you're just reading into it, maybe you're a bit of a romantic Phineas, but you almost anticipate that his nervousness is shielded quite well by the arms of his parents kind of locked in on either side of him, holding him in place. Um,
Okay. So that
as
definitely ease some of my worries a little bit. I would give a little smirk and then would turn to actually like look at M and Merrick.
is Emmeline known to put up the dramatics?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, like like she is, the oldest girl in the group and she's only one of two and she's had to live with one, two, three, four brothers around the same age. So she was always like, the princess of the family and got what she wanted and um but could also like throw down with her brothers and stand up for what she wanted, things like that. So, I think yeah, and obviously she uh I don't know. Yeah. Yeah.
Does Merrick typically join in on her dramatics?
A little bit, but yeah, the two of them are quite the pair. They're like not like so much the troublemakers, but um yeah, they kind of gave mom and dad a hard time a bit with they were just like
Pushing the envelope or what?
yes, yes, a
Okay.
bit. Yes. Um yeah, he could be a bit of a dramatic boy too, like seeing people get riled up and things like that, but not like maliciously.
Okay.
Yeah.
At this moment, as the couple, the newlywed couple to be potentially are about to meet, I what would the one I know, Keelan, I struggled to find the word. What would it be? The the intendant, the
The
intendant pair.
expecting bride.
Yeah. Well, I like this. When they meet, there's this like moment of like everyone's kind of locked into this little love story that they get to it. It's a little bit of excitement for nobility, like a paired family. It's at this moment of joy that you realize that Emmeline has perfectly orchestrated the most wonderful moment. Whether you're not sure for herself or for the party, what are elements of tonight that are perfectly orchestrated?
I imagine that the food is like a fusion hybrid blend of like both the family's like cultural dishes,
Hmm.
and like she orchestrated the menu or had a say in the menu.
I think that as Emmeline is descending the staircase, there have been these like giant fabric pieces hanging, and they're released, and like solflorella flower petals just sort of like gently cascade over the great hall, like as
Great.
she's walking down the staircase.
Great. Okay.
I feel like she spent hours working on the seating arrangements of who to put who where. Um, there's multiple like stationary pieces everywhere. So like a menu has been printed out for when we go to sit at the tables. There's like a printed thing that says like, well, I don't know what you kind of dinner you would call this. It's not like an engagement dinner, but like something like it would say something like with her name and his name with like a heart around it. Like there's lots of like those little things all over the place. Yeah, but
Same.
tasteful.
But taste. Like in the same vein, in all likelihood, because there are so many people from so many different places, all of the table centers and all of like the flower arrangements and all the decorations really speak to like the global perspective and like tying everybody in, like the sense of community that an event like this can create. So like maybe not I wonder if Eric workers are like cool with feathers and stuff, but that's what I was envisioning. So is that a problem? I don't know.
Is there
Us
feathers
having
mole?
hair, our hair, a pile of human hair in the middle of the table.
The humans are here. We brought your flesh bits and hair.
I imagine that the music is live. Like there's no like there's like a quartet, like string quartet playing everything.
Some of those, what's it called? Fabric dancers have subtly descended from the ceiling so they don't steal her show, but they're part of the background.
Like they were laying in the fabric the entire time waiting for the
Just tuning.
entrance.
When the flowers drop, they did like their dramatic drops.
Yes.
And they're sort of placed nicely around the chandelier.
One of them is holding a bottle of champagne, so when you approach, she like descends and pours it to you, like real just fancy over the top stuff.
Oh yeah.
Any other elements to tonight that are perfectly orchestrated?
The guest list. She has not only picked like the right mix of people, but she has perfectly orchestrated like who, like we said, the seating chart, but like everyone, in my imagination, everyone like has some sort of tie to someone else here that they could find.
Yeah. And you'll even hear Bira as you've been kind of like passively just kind of sitting back and kind of watching some things unfold. You'll even hear a comment from uh the mother of Krumar. I haven't given her a name yet, so I'm just calling her mother so we understand like mother to the groom, essentially. You'll even mention like it's it's like everyone I love in one room, like kind of like jokingly, like it's perfectly selected. The Krumar family is eager to see the guests here. Okay. Don't be afraid to add other elements that are perfectly orchestrated during tonight's evening. So as the staff brings you to where will be our dining table for this evening, it is one table made into a rather large oval shape. You can see it's been like hand carved for the evening, perfectly placed here. A new piece that sits out, and they're out. What,
A new
Kelly?
piece of furniture just for this dinner? That's amazing.
Yeah.
Actually,
Uh,
I do have one more thing.
yes.
Uh, Maybe it's like some kind of enchantment or something like that, but all of the torches on the walls light up the room more wherever she moves.
Oh shit.
I like this.
Oh shit.
I kind of even joked about it during her entrance that the lights grew a bit warmer. So I love that.
We love that.
Okay. perfectly seated amongst one another. You are all kind of speckled. We can decide to our comfort if we want to sit next to one another or if we're kind of like mixed in. But the key things I will point out is the families are not on opposite sides of this large oval table. The Krumars and the Darlingtons are mixed next to one another in a good combination. And there is no head to an oval table. There is no clear point of like a place of importance regarding to the seating itself, which was very intentional. But what is clear is the guests still do look to the heads of this occasion, those who are throwing the event, the Darlingtons, as the person to initiate, the protocol of tonight's dinner. And so, despite there being no true head to the table, all the eyes kind of flock to the Duke. On his left is his bride, the Duchess. On his right is his third youngest son, fourth to the heir of the duchy. Fourth to the heir of the duchy, correct? Fifth
Fourth
to the
youngest
heir.
son.
Youngest son.
Fourth youngest son. I apologize. Fourth
You're good.
youngest son, fifth to the duchy. Phineas Darlington. Next to you, Phineas, is your sister, Emmeline Darlington. Mhm.
Good.
On the other side of her, naturally, is
Callum.
Ettram Merrick. No, Ettram Kumar. On his other side is his mother, then his sister, then his father. On the other side of the Duchess is Bira, as promised. And then as we work ourselves with the other group, where would you guys, again, seating isn't crucial. You can still speak like, opposite sides of one another. It's not like by being in one place on the table, you won't be able to, unless there's like true whispers that are, if people are trying to do something like that. But like you will be able to see and communicate with anybody. Would you guys like to sit together as a unit outside of Phineas? Would you like to be speckled in with the guest? What is your comfort level?
I think we should do this old school nobility style and have groups of 4 as a conversation group, which includes 2 from the same party, but is split up between gender and different groups.
Yes.
All
And
right.
within those confines, Kieran would definitely want to be near the Furbolg
Mm.
people.
Okay. Yeah, so I didn't send pictures of every NPC. I'm
Mhm.
picturing excluding the 7 of you who make up du jour. How many people are in the Darlington family besides Phineas?
1,
Mother,
2,
father.
3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and then two spouses. So 10
A kid,
minus me.
11.
Is the
And
child
and
with
then the child is like sleeping
so he's
in a
not
crib
okay, so it's like infant,
like a
like young.
baby. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
so 10 Darlingtons at the
And
table.
then plus me, so 11.
Yeah, so I'm putting you with du jour in this count. So we've got
Yeah.
7 plus 10, that's 17. 4 to the Krumars, that's 21, right? Already. And then
Mhm.
I've got loosely, like doing with NPCs for sure. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But I think unpictured, I have 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, another 10, like 10 total. So there's like 31 people at the table. There's like 30, we'll say loosely like 30 to 35 people at a very large oval table.
Oh.
So it's a very large party. And you can imagine how ornate and like silly, maybe to some extent, the detail of like the place settings and the menus and the centerpieces and just like it's like you're at a wedding without being at a wedding. It's extremely fancy for those who are not of nobility. We don't have to be completely detailed. I do like we're following the noble structure. With that in mind, like mixing different like genders and whatnot, I'd love to know like the pairings potentially, just if we're doing conversations, we know who we're like kind of interacting with more intimately or more directly. How do we want to pair off? Bira can be a part of that mix too. Like we just have to assume that on one of Bira's sides is the Duchess, but one of us can be with Bira as well. So with that in mind, we've got Brick, we've got Buttons, we've got Bira, we've got Phineas. Sorry, not Phineas. We got Kieran. We've got Glint, and we've got Mest. How are we seated? And are there preferences in who we sit with?
Merrick is available, correct? Because Merrick wasn't sitting next to,
I haven't. Yeah, and all the Darlingtons
and all the rest of the
besides
Darlington
the
besides.
bride to be, father, mother, and Phineas are also available. So yes.
Who wants to talk to the Duchess with me and the Duke?
You need a boy.
Boys? Anyone feel like being fancy?
So fancy.
You can handle it.
Thanks.
De Jure is leaving you stranded, Bira, which means
Oh,
a
no.
Darlington, another Darlington's gonna sit on your left.
Can I have Merrick then, the hot one?
I was
Curse you
going
all.
I was going to wait to decide where Merrick sits, if that's okay. I wasn't picturing Merrick.
That's okay.
I was, however, picturing Jacob, the youngest Darlington, is seated by you. Not directly next to his mother, but close enough that if she needs to rein him in, she can handle him.
Makes sense.
And an easy guest on one side, you could say for sure. There's no way you can mess things up with the younger Darlington.
Why should okay.
We'll challenge that.
I'm also
Okay.
like with the outside. How do you talk to kids? Noble kids.
Okay.
Sorry. Bye.
Sweet. Who else? Who else is sitting in pairs? That would be fun.
Best and Glint.
Cool. Do you have a preference on either guests or Darlingtons you sit next to?
I mean, I'd like to sit next to the bird. Man.
Okay.
And can we get one of the groom's family?
What I'll do, yeah, I'm gonna put you then on the other side. You're gonna sit next to the father of the groom, who is the father Krumar, with the two of you, and then on the other side of you would be some kind of birdman man. Cool.
I'm making the seating arrangement after we watch this episode.
Cool.
I'm gonna watch it back and make a huge table.
Oh yeah.
I'm gonna throw out. Oh, sorry, you West, please.
I was gonna say I'd be down to sit with Matt and a furbolg and maybe the lizard man.
Yeah, that works for me.
Okay. Can we throw a Darlington in there as well?
Yeah, can we get Hugh and his husband?
Yes, you can. Hugh and his husband. Okay.
Hey, Paige, I'm really excited for when you name all of these characters for us.
Me too. I'm intentionally not thinking about it so I don't over prepare, you know?
Yeah.
Okay.
I just
Make
want
them normal names like Keith
Gregory,
and Jeff.
Frank,
Larry.
Yeah.
Richard.
Mike.
Ray.
Italian American names.
Tony.
Nino.
Tony,
Tony.
Anthony,
Claudio.
Antonio.
yeah, Antonio.
Joseph.
Antonia.
I'm happy to do the remainders. I would prefer to be with a lot of these like foreign people because I don't need company and I want to know more about these otherworldly places that Brick has never seen or heard of.
Yo, sit with that dwarf.
Yeah, you're not sure if this is a coincidence, or Emmeline's lack of potentially other places in the
Racism.
world.
It's racism.
No, that's not what I'm suggesting. But you are sitting next to the dwarf woman, as well as that halfling man I sent a picture of.
All the shorts.
Shorties.
Faces.
Daddy, like a melody.
Yeah.
In my head.
Table small.
Table
There's a
small.
reason.
There's got to be a reason. Okay. And is everyone seated
Hot-
together?
Hot boy in limbo.
Merrick, the twin brother. Is that where
Hot
we're
boy
referring
in
to as
limbo.
Hot Boy in Limbo?
Hot boy in limbo.
I think he is going to then sit, if I'm doing kind of quick visual math. He's gonna be
Maybe he's next to Aldous because we don't know where Aldous and his wife are either.
yeah. So thinking. He's gonna be between where like the lizard folk and the halfling man meet. So like there's like sides of this where like he's kind of tied in. He's kind of, I guess if we're like associating him where he's
Yeah,
closest to in our pairs, he's between Brick's group and
Spines group.
yeah.
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 Okay.
We got some nods. Okay. What's on the menu?
I feel like
7
you
fishes.
start off. Yeah, you definitely start
Not
with some
7
calamari.
fishes.
We're doing
Yeah.
calamari to start.
No, bread and oil. Bread and oil to
Well,
start.
that's just like officially always on the table. You
There's
know,
three
The
plates of
olive-
it.
the olive oil and the fresh butter with the salt on top is on the
I
table.
forgot about
but-
olive oil. I'm sorry, everybody.
Olive
Gotcha.
oil.
Olive.
Oil.
Yeah, I feel like the first course is like, yeah, a calamari, and then like maybe the second, very small plates, like small little. There's gonna be like lots of courses. I picture, you know what I mean, like course after course, but not big courses. And then like maybe there's like a tartare of some kind or a ceviche or something like that. And then you'll have a small pasta, because pasta actually is early on, I think, in the menus, isn't it? I think
I've
it
never
is.
been
And
to
then like
Italy. I don't know.
and then like a salad, and then some more bigger entrees after that. Do you want me to go through the whole thing?
No. I'm getting the
I'm
getting
just
the
like
picture.
starting the vibes.
If I could just get like what you would consider the main course, that might help me too.
Mm,
Like what's that main course? Like
yeah,
what's the dish?
the main dish is going to be like a huge stuffed lobster tail
Okay.
with crab meat, and it's served with sauce.
I'm laughing because Kelly can't decide if Celine is Maine or if it's Italy.
Yes.
A lobster roll, and then a really nice like side salad with like some fresh tomatoes and some peppers, some long hats on the side.
This is quite a meal. For those who don't eat lobster tail, for our vegetarian or vegan friendly
Oh,
folks, what do they eat? The main deal.
I picture ratatouille. Ratatouille, but Italian.
Okay, the Italian ratatouille.
Yep.
Okay, you hear that, guys? Italian ratatouille. Italian.
Oh yeah.
I really wanted the main dish to be like a grinder, like lots of different
Well,
kinds of meats.
It'd be a
An
hoagie.
Italian hoagie then.
That's the word.
I
That's the
hate-
word they use.
I
in
thought I was
Philly.
doing the right word. We're sub here, so.
I
And
say sub
for,
too.
for dessert, we'll have water ice.
Water.
What a race.
I hate what you've done
Italian
to my
ice. I
culture.
hate it. It's Italian
I should
ice.
probably go to Italy so I understand what Italian cuisine actually is.
I hate what you've done to my American Italian culture.
Well, I was like trying to lead into the fish part of it. I'm like, what's like the biggest fish thing you
Let
can
me
eat?
an English
What's
an
the
English
biggest- I was
clam
like-
chowder.
Lobster tail.
Stuffed
Wait,
with crab too. It's just like just
that's
in
a
case.
thing though, right?
Is
Is that imperial style or is when it's like crab stuffed?
I have no idea.
It sounds like some Red Lobster shit.
There's cheddar biscuits on the table too.
There are always
Guys, good news at the Darlington Manor, breadsticks are endless.
Oh, hell yeah. When
Oh,
you're
yeah.
here,
Breadsticks
your
to
family,
themselves.
and you're
God.
full.
Gabagool.
It's the old part.
It's
That's worse.
guys, it's the Aviv. I'm sorry,
Get
Colin. I'm sorry. I know. Okay. So let's get back to some political intrigue because you guys have some shit to figure out. Let's get serious. This is a really, if you guys mess this up, not only are you gonna break up a lovely couple, but you might end the fucking world. Just kidding.
We might not get the magical items.
This
Yeah.
was way more important than I thought.
So let's take this seriously, okay? So you are seated amongst several different guests. Some have a healthy mix of Darlingtons, some are new noble families from across the Dirtha. Before any kind of small talk or eating or true like celebrating can begin, Duke Eller Darlington will stand. He will raise his glass to you all. Honored guests, thank you for joining us here in my home. We welcome you to Solene, and more importantly, to Zistasia, the place where I've raised a family and raised a life. We welcome you to that life. Thank you. He cheers already to that. Clearly, there's plans to make several cheers tonight. I also want to thank our guest of honor, my son Phineas, for returning home to celebrate with his family and to bring us tales of his adventures, of the greater worlds, and to adding to our life with his friends. De jour, we welcome you.
Sure.
I would also like to thank the Krumar family for joining us. We welcome you. We welcome you for several weeks of activities that I'm sure my daughter here has overplanned, but we welcome you to our family, and we're happy to have you with us tonight. To the rest of the families who have joined us, we know we've traveled a very long way to be here. We want to thank you. It's been a very long time since I've welcomed you all to my door. And I hope tonight is a great way to begin a new era for our families. To tonight. Take one more drink. And enough of toast for myself. Feel free to toast to whatever you need to tonight. My family welcomes you. My beautiful wife welcomes you, and I welcome you. Thank you. He'll take a drink and sit back down to begin the meal. Which promptly on cue is to hand delivered to each of your plates. A little silver tray kind of lifting to present meal tray or plate after of all these entrees. You can see after the toast, the families seem rather comfortable, rather natural. This is not a tense meeting. People seem rather happy, drinking rather freely, eating even more freely, and talking. Yes, Sarah.
Rick is never comfortable. So I would like to just I'm just suspicious. My eyes are on the outer edges of the room. Now I know animals, and when animals eat and when they drink water is when they're most likely to be attacked. So I'm looking.
Okay, I need you to roll a perception check for me then.
Not 17 plus 3, 20, dirty.
Dirty 20. So, as the first several plates get put in front of you, Brick, you're very cautious, looking not at just the other guests of tonight's dinner, but along the walls. It is an outdoor setting, I kind of loosely described. So, there are still like walls. There are still like places fencing you into this area, whether they're like open with like lattice gratings or like you can start to see the star net above you with like a lattice overhead as well. But there are walls and there are staff kind of resting at several different corners. I imagine Though natural in this setting, they would probably make you uncomfortable, Brick, just to see that someone's standing there watching you at all times as you dine. Any other questions or things we want to clarify about the space itself? Cool.
Nobody came in wearing any weaponry, right?
That's a good question that we didn't clarify with the party. Um, I think, is it easier for us and how we like to play? Is it easier for us to assume that ornamental weapons are okay at dinner? And thus it'd be okay for you guys to have those weapons? Or would we rather it be the inverse and ornamental or necessary weapons are not welcome here and they'd look um, rather threatening?
Yeah, I think we would take our cue from Finn on that. But whatever.
Yeah, Finn, do you bring your rapier that doesn't get any use?
No, no weapons.
No weapon?
I I feel very comfortable here, obviously. So like, I personally wouldn't be carrying any weapons. You can do as you please with that information.
I think this is a great moment for you guys to talk, just to clarify. There's no pressure. I can have unique responses. I can have specific or group responses. You guys discuss. I don't know what I know there's paranoia. I know there's a lot riding on this night. I don't quite know what you guys are planning, if you're planning anything. So you are welcome to discuss how you
I
want
don't
to
think
prepare
there'd be
yourselves.
any like ill will for you guys to carry your weapons. Like, um, I'm pretty sure whatever you guys wanted to do would be okay because my family trusts me and I trust you guys, so they know that. So if you guys wanted to carry your weapons to dinner or wear them around, I don't think they would be offended in any way. But I personally wouldn't be carrying any weapons.
Well, if we want to make ourselves look like big, important adventurers that might impress people, it might not be a bad idea, especially Buttons and Glint with these big old things they got.
Well, see, I think that Glint specifically would not bring the greatsword, but would bring the warhammer. I don't really use it very much, except to do necessary like religious work in the coin check. So I think the way I imagine it is it's somewhat ornamental. It's obviously like relatively cut down, but maybe it has like some like filigree on it that indicates that it's a religiously intended thing. So I think he would bring that, but not the greatsword that he prefers when actually, you know, getting ready to fight somebody.
Bess definitely has her quarterstaff. It's her arcane focus. She lets go at it on very few occasions, so it's strapped diligently to her.
Yeah, Buttons has the Storm's Herald, maybe using it as a walking stick or a cane. Looking all dope and shit.
Very funny.
Big pimpin'.
I am the weapon, so I do attend dinner.
That's
I
the
have a-
attitude I want from Pyrrha. That's the
literally just
confidence.
have I think a knife that I don't use.
A
That is
knife.
Oh, that is a mage amarettus energy that we are bringing to the dinner.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
I definitely have my spear shifting sand. And I like the idea that even though Brick's wearing this like kid's formal outfit, she's got like her leather brace like around her back shoulder with the spear sticking out of it. Like it just doesn't suit the look at all.
Do you still have your tunic?
Not on tonight.
No, clearly not. No.
Yeah, that's my question.
I'm
It
also
would
not in
technically fit
the
under
armor.
your dress.
Uh, this is interesting because think about the story wise. Then what we have tonight visually is we have a collection of adventurers who look like adventurers, dressed, of course, in ornate and beautiful clothing, but are wearing the wares of their travels, their weapons, what make them great. And we have our guest of honor, completely detailed in his family colors, labeling himself a member of the Darlingtons. As through introductions of tonight's evening, you're all introduced to the guests tonight as the adventuring party known as du jour. And they understand that Phineas is a part of that group, but their understanding, uh, we visually that might not look like the case. So as guests introduce themselves to you, they're pretty quick. They can look at you and see that you all are adventurers, not just any like low scruffy, mercenaries. You have collected some acolytes. You carry a bit of confidence to you. You're level 10. I mean, it shows in your abilities as well. You look otherworldly to some as you continue to grow in power, in strength, and ability. And so the noble families, as they chat with you at dinner, they might be rather forthright in conversating with you about your adventures, asking rather boldly of your most exciting foe, your greatest fight, your most exciting story. Depending on who you're sitting with, you could be having those types of conversations with them. Whereas to Phineas, they might be asking you, Phineas, though I know you're surrounded by your family a bit more in the crew Mars, but if people on the other side of the table are turning to you, they might ask, so where did you find your friend Brick, or where did you find Mustangerad? They might be more like, tell us the story of how you found these wonderful people, not like how you've earned the rank to be du jour. Like it's rather assumptive. Like you're just kind of along at their coattails.
From the guests or my family?
From the
Or both?
guests. From the guests specifically.
Are there any empty seats?
There would not be. There would not
Okay.
be empty seats. Because tonight is perfectly orchestrated. And so if
Yeah.
somebody was invited and they were not to attend, I would think the right steps would have been taken to make sure it wasn't that obvious
would
that
have
their
been
departure
murdered.
was.
And the chair also murdered. On your topic of them, the conversation you had before about,
What I was saying before.
yeah, the before thing, yeah, that thing. I think Phineas would really take it with a grain of salt and wouldn't try to fight them on that fact. And would just kind of be like, yeah, and tell the story about how he initially had seen better days in the desert and wasn't having the best day when he stumbled or when really Brick and Kieran stumbled upon him. And I think he would tell more stories of the accolades of what the others have done in battles, um, more so than himself, um, after them stating those sort of things a bit.
Which would reaffirm their opinion.
A little, yeah.
I think that Kieran would probably interject in some of these instances and like play up Finn's participation in like some of our adventures. Just seeing that and like feeling a little protective of like the conversation with Aldous before about how Finn has grown and like how his family might look at him differently. I think I want Finn to feel that feeling of people looking at him and being like, "Oh, Phineas Darlington, like adventure boy." So I think that even if Finn wants to downplay it, Kieran's not going to let that slide.
Yeah, I guess I got lucky with that giant. You guys did
Yeah.
most of the work. I just took like the one hit that put the giant down, but it was no big deal. That's kind of how Finn would play it back.
Yeah.
I would want to talk to my sister because I haven't seen her this whole time. I really just saw her on the balcony. when we first walked in, while I kind of had a moment to like at least say hi and like put hands on everyone else. I would have like once we sat next to each other, be like, it's so good to see you. Uh, I can't believe you're getting married. It was definitely a shock to hear that.
You will see she looks rather uncomfortable when you say the word married. Not because she's uncomfortable with the concept, but just because it quite hasn't been spoken about in such a way as at the party. She's like, little brother, it's good to see you as well. We're excited to hear of your stories tonight. And she kind of looks at you rather devilishly, like, of your stories tonight.
But tonight's not about me.
You're the guest of honor, little brother. Today is all about you and your friends. Wow, you are so oblivious when it comes to your siblings. Roll an insight check for me.
I'm so confused. Well, that's a 7.
Then so you shall stay confused.
Oh, okay. Talking about me, well, it's been a few months. I've been to the desert, and we've been to the infamous wizarding school of Astromiums. And I technically was Kieran for a day. Less than a day, but Mest over there is too powerful, and she switched all our bodies around.
It's just like at the other side of the table, like,
Well, that sounds like something out of a fairy tale story you used to tell.
Yeah. Um, when's the tell me about your fiance.
What was that, Hitchum? Oh, I'm sure the Gardens are lovely this time of year. We must be going. We should definitely plan a trip. Sounds lovely. She like looks back at you like, shut the fuck up.
Wait, can I start talking in our gibberish we did as a children, like Simlish, and go
Who's on the
like,
other side of it? Your father? Your father's on the other side of you, right?
yeah.
Phineas, do tell me. Tell me more about that wizarding school. You went to a day. Astromiums.
I did. Bira. Bira is actually a student at Astromiums.
Oh, that's lovely. Is that where you met the Duchess?
No. Oh, I'd let Bira respond.
Oh, not quite. I was actually at home on holiday. When Finn and I met the whole group. Really, I was just they were passing through, and I stumbled upon them.
You've met them all at once.
Yeah.
Well, we picked up buttons a little bit later in the desert.
Yeah, he was fighting a big metal bug machine, I think.
He was fighting a very small woman, but the bug did come to life.
Are you laughing at me, Kayleen? Or the bug?
the small woman bug came to life. Just this conversation. It's funny.
I hope it
Like
wasn't
all
all
the nobles
fighting.
are sitting there, like.
Oh my god. Well, the Duchess. Well, I hope it wasn't all fighting. That would be terribly exhausting all these many months.
Some of it was easy. I wouldn't even call it a fight.
Mm. We have had some difficult run-ins, though. We fought a dragon, but we did win. Right? Yes, we did fight a dragon.
Hugh with his husband will kind of look at you. It sounds like you made a lot of trouble where you went. I hope you didn't mess anything
No,
up.
actually,
brother.
I feel like we brought a lot of joy across the All right.
I think we've solved a lot of trouble. We've provided help and aid a lot of places.
We disbanded a pretty vicious gang of people hanging out in Madripoort, Riverdale.
We did.
We saved my tribe from true extinction.
We did actually. We conquered their great beast, which kind of put a damper on their traditions, but also we saved all the men in their tribe so they could continue to procreate. So that's pretty good.
We also have a new chief.
To a new
We
era.
also came across 2 beholders at the same time that were
No,
having
we-
some serious marital problems.
Yes, but just right. Yeah, no big deal.
Magic school's a crazy place.
Yeah.
And we played Wizard Ball.
What is happening in other parts of the world? I wonder. I wish I knew what happened outside of our little party. You dwarf lady, tell me about your country.
Where do you come from?
I am from Derlin's Key.
Is that close to the desert?
It's directly
on the
north
map,
of it.
I think.
Okay.
It is 2 islands kind of paired together, both referred to as Derlin's Key, just west of Tormale, just beneath the land masses that make up kind of Grient and Monakia, which is where Kieran kind of generates from. Where Kieran was generated.
Generated.
Yeah, I
Where
just love
Kieran-
to.
Fucked.
And does your tribe live above the ground or underneath of it?
I'm not from a tribe, but my family has lived in Derlin's Key for hundreds of years. And we live at the ground level. Do you live under the ground?
No, I heard stories that our kind came from below. And my tribe has never lived below. So
Those
I
are
was
old stories.
She doesn't get out much.
I get out all the time, I'm never inside.
Who else is on my side? Oh,
You are not
You!
the dwarf.
What country do you come from?
What are you?
It's there.
What's
What are
going
you?
on with you? Are you asking the halfling?
Yes, are you at war with some greater country at this table?
War? No war. I'm from Fensworth, just across the way, not too far.
Cool. Is anybody fighting here or something? I'm confused. The dwarves, we fight all the time. Well, my
You'll
tribe of dwarves.
see Krumar, Father Krumar, next to Glint and Mestandrorad will stand. There is no fighting amongst friends. We're here together.
I cast Detect Thoughts. Is he being evasive?
Detect thoughts?
Yes.
Okay, what does he have to roll?
That is well. So for just the surface level stuff, which is all I want right now, there's no roll. I just know.
He doesn't do a save of any kind.
Not unless I'm trying to like delve in and like actually know what he's thinking.
Every time Detect Thoughts gets cast, I literally ask the same questions. It's so confusing to me that it just happened. Surface level
yeah, like,
thoughts.
It's a wild spell.
You get like
yeah.
one word, like a state of
Surface
mind.
level.
Like,
I will say surface level, the overall feeling is just tense.
What? Ah!
there's the
Got this.
drama.
To be fair, like I'm providing answers. That's a weird question to have to speak up to. Is anyone at war here? Is anybody fighting? Yeah, his response to resolve as he stands with a rather soothing voice, the underlying emotion is tense.
Okay. Guys, do you think he's wise?
Yeah, I think he's wise.
Yes.
Okay. I'll just go with kind of the surface thoughts of things and see what I see.
To friends.
I would have
you guys
never
assess
known
class.
it was tense if it wasn't for this spell.
Is he armed?
Ornamentally, yes, he is armed.
So if we kill someone here, we get a magic item.
There are a lot of
We
people
just have to
armed.
find the person and kill them.
That's why we're here. We're here for the magic, and then we out.
No.
You guys are like, what if this gets red wedding? What if this gets red wedding and you're the red wedding? It's just so funny to me.
Wedding is actually the
Yeah.
trigger word for all of the assassins. That's why the sister keeps going, stop, stop.
It's gonna Winter Soldier us.
Rust 16, what is it?
Wedding, 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 wedding.
Sidecar.
Is Etram speaking up at all during any of all these conversations, or is he quiet?
I haven't like distinctly said he's spoken in regards to the conversation. I'm not saying he's like completely silent. He's probably done a lot of communicating with Emmeline, honestly. So you'd hear a lot of that that kind of like casual conversation in between, like grander questions to the table or of du jour in general, because everyone seems engaged on the conversation of du jour. You guys are like, despite the orchestration of Emmeline's like formal introduction to the Krumar family, like you guys, Phineas returning and you guys being here is like probably the more exciting news for all these families.
Because the wedding's like weeks away.
It's like it's
Or
like
like
a
a
couple
week
weeks
away,
away. Yeah, I'm thinking like between like a week and 2 weeks away if it all goes right.
Oh,
Sorry.
okay.
Other people have used the word wedding, right? Like Fid not saying it.
Tonight? Okay, I want you to roll investigation check for me. With advantage.
Ooh.
Cool, I've already got a +8 on that with advantage.
Yeah.
That is a 22.
22. Bira. Everything is labeled, detailed, described, referencing the collection of these families, of the Krumars and the Darlingtons. There is no written word of a wedding.
Is Emmeline pregnant?
You say this out loud.
No, I'm saying this as Matt.
Wait, I'm confused.
And what is your weirdo sister up to?
Do
Yeah.
orcs
Yeah,
not
what's
get
going on with
married?
that?
Is it a cultural difference?
How many wives does Etram have?
It wasn't
Your wife.
being polygamy.
That's not his sister. That's his first wife.
But like before, when I was
That's not his
talking to my
mom.
mom and my dad, like they said, like she's getting married and things like that.
Yep.
But no
Is there-
wedding.
Yeah, is there any like cultural difference that we would know of?
Mhm.
Everyone can roll history checks for me.
Yay! -3.
12.
10.
Plus
23?
I've been rolling like straight dick. 14.
I love that we just made the entire group of adventurers roll to see if orcs get married.
12.
With a 23 Bira, and your successful investigation check, you're confident that there is no cultural reference to orcs not getting married. And come to think of it, you had to take a lot of gen eds at Astremiums, and you know it's not a Garridan thing either. So why would the Darlingtons talk about a wedding, but now when everyone's here at the formal dinner, a wedding isn't being announced yet?
We have
They
to
not
kill
know
Parents
they're
don't
one
know.
of them to
Parents
prove
don't
that
know
they're
yet.
strong
Too.
enough.
It's a secret love. They don't know yet. We need to win them
Mars
over.
do not know yet.
I still think we have to kill one of them to prove that the Darlingtons are strong.
Yay.
Which
So
one
it's
has
a
the
weird
best
thing.
magic
Let's
items?
agree.
The Darlingtons send their regards.
I'm right here.
Why wouldn't they tell me that it's a secret though?
Maybe
We need to
he's,
impress
like-
them.
Or maybe she's
Okay.
trying to like get
I'm gonna delve in
Garridan's
on
want.
Finn's dad's mind and see what we see.
Hey.
We're gonna
Wind
die
check?
today.
Yeah,
Can
the
you delve
Duke.
in on you're casting another detect thoughts on the
No, no,
Duke?
no. It's continuous, and I can use an action to
Oh,
transfer
I
it
thought
to.
that was on the other guy's dad.
On the orc.
I
That was on
can.
The
the
It's
orc.
first
on
one
me,
was.
and I can focus on different things.
For how long?
I'm
A minute,
sure
This
and
is
then I
an
can
eyes
recast
on
it
it
with
level
magic if I
spell.
want to. To
For
be
the
fair,
duration, you can read the
Surface.
thoughts of certain creatures when you cast the spell, and as your action on each turn until the spell ends, you can focus your mind on any one creature that you can see within 30 feet. If the creature you choose has intelligence 3, blah, blah, blah.
Any one
and as an
creature.
action, you can either delve deeper or switch it to another creature.
Dope.
This is
So
great for
you're
parties.
for
What a cool
political
party
intrigue.
trick. What a good party trick.
Okay, so you're
Well-
moving your detect thoughts to what can I ask? What are the components of the spell?
So this one came as part of the psychic one. This was part of the feat that I took.
Yeah. Does it
Um,
clarify that there's no like verbal or whatever components?
I think so. Let me check
Verbals,
again.
S.
No, so the actual spell itself does. Cast it without expending a spell slot. It doesn't say anything about.
I'm inclined to say that you don't need the spell slot, but there would still be the components.
Okay.
So I only mention this. I what is it? Verbal and is there somatic?
It's
The
verbal,
spell-
somatic, and material. There's a
Yeah,
copper
it's
fuse.
VSM. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
all three.
If you want to try it, I'm gonna have you roll to see if you can do it like discreetly at this party.
Okay. Let's do it.
I need you to make a sleight of hand check and then a charisma check to like play off the verbal. I'm assuming with the sleight of hand you'll be able to do the somatic and material like underneath the table. The charisma is to pull off whatever verbal thing you have to utter to get the spell off. There won't be any
Okay.
consequences to the first one, to the one with the Krumar father, but depending on how this roll goes will dictate how this one goes.
14
14.
for sleight of hand.
Okay, and then roll the
The other is a save on his part.
a save.
Yeah, wisdom save.
Why? You're just doing the initial thoughts, I thought.
Oh, yeah. Sorry, I thought you were meaning like if I was delving deeper.
Oh, not yet. Just to
Yeah.
and so
So
do
surface thoughts. What is going on
yeah.
in this man's head?
And do the charisma for me too, really quick.
What?
Charisma.
What do you mean?
Just do I wanted a sleight of hand check and then I wanted just a charisma straight check for that like
Oh, okay,
verbal
got it.
aspect of it.
Sorry.
And
one
no, you're
second.
good. And you were by the what NPCs were you two by?
You're with Mess.
He's
So
near
it
the
would be the
Nest.
Aarakocra.
5.
5. Okay. You have to do one of those like quick playoffs where you like utter the words. Yeah.
He was next to the dad of the.
Oh yeah, you were right next. That's right. You
the
were next to
Krumar.
so that's why it was probably really easy for you to pull that one off. But I think okay, then here's what I want to do then. I want surface level thoughts on the Duke in regards to is this a continuation? Sorry, because I've had to ask so many questions now. Is this a continuation of the comments with regards to the wedding? Or just the
Yes.
fact that there's like they toasted to friends saying there's like no war amongst these friends, correct?
Yeah. Like really whatever I can get from him on either of those, I feel like will be illuminated.
Yeah, okay. Initial surface loss on the Duke in regards to this conversation. Confident.
Confident. Kind of want to delve deeper. How wise is your father, Finn?
Pretty fucking wise.
He's a duke.
Is he really,
Dude.
or do you just think that he's wise because he's your father?
You'd like, in my opinion, don't dive deeper.
Um.
I'll leave it.
Mom. I don't know if she would have thoughts for you. I don't know if she's wise though.
And so, like, obviously, we're sitting at this table. What are the other conversations that are happening between the other people? Like, are there any things that we're picking up that are interesting or stand out that might help explain some of the what is I'm guessing is a kind of strange vibe?
Um,
Like my bird buddy. Is he talking
yeah.
about anything that's kind of stand out?
Okay, yeah. So let's your bird buddy is speaking with you guys, of course, and another one of the families. I know we're gonna do a table, so that's gonna help me. Whoever's doing Kelly, if that's you, that's gonna
I
be super
tried to
helpful.
do it while in a wedding planning thing, and it made my brain break. I don't know that we have. I think we might be in like
I can
a
do it for next
A
session. Yeah,
spiral
for
of
sure.
some kind where it's twisted and things actually aren't coming.
non-functional table.
No, I'll fix it. I'll fix it.
Okay. If we need to flip some things around, we can, just as long as we have it. Because it'll probably be repeated potentially. Anyway, so Bird Buddy is talking with another NPC family, and they're neighboring territories, and so a lot of their talk, though, is like related to business. It's rather congenial. So it's like, um talking about their trades and imports with one another. They'll confirm, like, oh, yes, well, I sorted that out with my secretary and he's sending it over to you shortly. Like, it's all like rather like mishmash, like get through the initial business so then we can like truly enjoy ourselves. So like in that regard, the Aarakocra seems like kind of like, I need to address these things first before I can really enjoy myself. So he seems like a little bit more driven to like his smaller means initially at the table.
If there's a lull in the conversation, I would ask how he knows the Darlingtons or the crew Mars.
So yeah, that's a good question. Um he is from uh Lunaris, which is nearby.
Is it a bird place? Would I know that?
It's not exclusively a bird place, though many Aarakocra do live in Lunaris. Similar to Solene, it is a small kind of like island where like mainly like one city is considered the capital and everything else kind of exists around it in smaller like settlements. But what's different geographically speaking is there's a lot more like cliff sides to Linares, which is why, yeah, a lot of Aarakocra live there. It's a lot easier to travel to and from Lunaris. And like as he's mentioning this here, he'd even mention like, don't jump to conclusions. I did take a boat here, of course. And
We
he's
took
talking
a
to
skyboat.
fancy. Well, he is talking to someone else from Ingress who is directly like kind of like a triad to Solene. So like it's all really like those by you are like neighboring places close to Solene. So the Aarakocra, whose name is Traval. Traval is definitely, obviously, just proximity wise, very familiar with the Darlingtons, works a lot with them, but knows very well of the Kumars. In fact, he'll mention a rather beloved trip he took to the Garridans, which is a very large, comparatively to like Fensworth, Selene, Lunaris, Ingress, these like little tiny places I'm mentioning. The Garridans is like this huge landmass. It's like the size, it's like nearly the size of Halahide. Just instead of it being stretched kind of lengthwise, it's more like stockier and taller. So it's much larger. And he'll mention like, unlike Ingress, Lunaris, Selene, the Garrisons is made up of many large cities. And so he will regale you on an amazing trip he took to the Garritons where he stayed in the city and the Krumars hosted him for an entire season, in fact. And his whole family was there. So they are very close friends with the Krumars. And they've made a point to visit them rather frequently over the years since, like as if like it's a tradition now to him. So he speaks very fondly of the Krumars.
With these families,
Mm.
is there any like ill will between the Darlingtons and these families or recent trouble that they're trying to mend? Like, is there a bad relationship here that they're working on, or is everyone really like buddy buddy?
Ill will. Roll roll a history check for
Or is it
me
kind of
with
like keep your friends close,
advantage.
your enemies closer sort of relationship sort of thing?
Yeah, good question. Roll a history check for me with advantage, considering this is the history of the Darlington recent history of the
That was
Darlingtons
a good
with these
one.
families.
29.
29, that's really good.
Go.
Yeah. So Phineas, you've seen many of these faces over the years. So by
Mm,
no means are they strangers. And not necessarily with direct conversations with your father, but maybe with your mother as you were growing up, and then your older brothers as they were starting to learn the relations of the neighboring places. You would know that these are people the Darlingtons have dealt with for many years, some more directly than others, but all of them have been relatively positive. And we are currently in a place with these families that we all work relatively well together. Um, so, though there have been small, minor disagreements over the years with some of these families, maybe something menial as to like a fair trade between two imports of the two lands or something like that, everyone has relatively goodwill to one another. This is certainly more so like a collection of, truly a collection of like people who agree. They're on the same side of like
okay.
negotiation. If there was like a
That's
group of all the leaders of the world, these people would be the ones who kind of got agree with one another the most.
okay, and that includes the Krumar family along with like the landmass of the Garridans.
With your history check, yes, the Krumars historically have done well with this area. I will say the Garridans as a whole does not trade to this area, but it'd be like saying like New Jersey doesn't trade with a different states. Like they're just different policies. Like the Garridans as a whole can't, the Kumars don't represent the Garridans as the whole. Where like some of these smaller
Okay.
places like
Yeah.
Lunaris and Ingress, those families would represent the entirety of Lunaris.
Right. I
Um,
see. I
that's
understand.
kind of, so it's a good question.
Okay.
I think that would probably be where the distinction is. Not everyone from the Garridans is like friendly to the
Okay.
Darlingtons and to this group of people, but the Krumars are.
Does
And the
the
Krumars. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was gonna ask if the bird is giving off conspiratorial, like, would he
Mm.
be willing to like gossip with me a little bit, or is it like he's not feeling that?
I think he's willing. I think it depends on how you present yourself, Mess. So like as I mentioned, he's business first. He definitely seems to like be catering to the conversation nearby to like get some things settled. And after a certain point, he would have some drinks, have some dinner, and might be then a little bit more open to discussing some things with you if you're patient.
Yeah, so I mean, I'd probably wait, and I would approach it with something like, "Oh, do you think like the upcoming union is going to be beneficial to the trade between the Garridans and Solene? And do you have a hand in that? Like, is it going to be beneficial to you too?"
Little conspiratorial glance at you. Well, the union is rather presumptive. There are things in place that need to happen first, of course.
Things like what?
Well, an official announcement is one.
Beyond, I mean, clearly they want to make a big show of it. Who wouldn't? It's a very important thing. But is there anything else that we're waiting for?
Certainly not amongst the families, but no. I wouldn't come here just to meet for drinks, though Solene is a lovely place. It's a bit rowdy for my nature. But no, we come with the assumption that there is a celebration in store.
And an announcement tonight?
I'm not sure. It would seem fitting, considering the setting.
Yes, yes, it would. It has been perfectly orchestrated, hasn't it? Um, I'm gonna nudge Glenn to be like the fuck up. And then like maybe she like suddenly tells everyone to play telephone with their friends. I have, oh my god.
Telephone.
I know it's not telephone, it's message. I'm gonna message Finn.
Okay, you can message Finn. Is there a verbal, somatic component to
Yep.
that?
Verbal somatic material, a short piece of copper wire, verbal, and then a hand gesture. You're pointing.
Okay, you can point it at the table. The wire and the whispering is going to be a little tough, but yeah, you can pull it off.
I imagine Mess is prepared. She does wear a lot of jewelry, so it might just be like undoing a
an
ring.
uncoiling of a metal spring or something around your finger. Very cool.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. What am I?
You
Do
can
you want
lean
me to
into
roll?
Glint and just say it.
Huh?
You can lean into Glint and be like,
Oh,
Like-
like I'm whispering to you, but really saying it to
Yeah.
to cast a spell. Yeah, I'll do that.
I broke my keyboard. It's not working. I can't make it.
Well, you did send a bunch of strange messages. I'm gonna put that one out there. So I'll do that. What do you need me to do, Paige?
No, you're good. With that in mind, what do you say to Glint to Phineas?
They haven't announced the union yet. It might be tonight. And I will look at him with like, as much as my dragon eyes can become big eyes, I will look at him with my big dragon eyes, mm.
it's really Finn's fault for not, or Finn's family's fault for not warning
No,
us.
absolutely, but like at least he may have more things to be able to do with that than you or I.
Where are we in dinner? Whoa, bro. Where'd you come from? Where do you think we are in dinner at this point?
I'd say pretty far along, yeah.
Okay. The drinks are flowing?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
If you'd like them to be.
Yeah, I would raise my glass and be like, when I
Wow.
left home, I never thought I would find people that I can care for as much as the people that are sitting around this table today. Including, my family. And I was completely wrong. I met some of the most amazing people on the road that I never would have if I didn't have the courage to leave Celine. And they bring such a warmth to my life. And, what more can you really ask for than people in your life that you love and you care for like they're your own family? And du jour, you are like my family away from home, and I thank you, and I love you, and I care for you equally as much as all the other individuals sitting around this table. And I want to raise a glass for everyone to equally find those people in their life that mean that much to them as well. What?
Like the plane.
Like land the plane. And to love, to family, to health, to Celine.
Yeah.
Drummond's family.
Okay.
I don't love those people as much as you, Sarah. I meant more like my own family and du jour. I don't give a fuck about anyone else.
What, did I miss something? Are you guys talking?
Sarah said some of these people don't even have names and you love them as much as us.
Rude.
It goes, the people I love in this room. I'm like,
All
you
of
don't even
you.
I meant more like my family, like literal Darlington. Sorry.
It's like nameless dwarf. I love you.
Birdman, I love you.
I named him. His name is Travell.
Travell,
Yes.
I love. Okay, well he's part of the list.
How what do I know about our Furbolg contingent from my
Hmm.
previous dealings with them?
House, I need a little bit to work with.
Yeah, so I know that under the context of my meeting them, the Namir assisted them with an issue with a tree that was decayed or rotting or sick in their village. Um, were these furbolgs the people that sought us out to help them? Were they present during any of the work that we did?
Mm.
Did we get a sense of the kind of people that they were and the way that they treat their village?
Mm.
Just sort of just like general character and how Kieran would assess them as like
Okay, I got it.
worthy.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. I needed that. So yes, this Furbolg woman you have met, she did seek out the Namir, your tribe specifically, because she oversees a grove, um, which is very, very careful about the care of the land and the trees itself. And so even when she found the Namir and sought you out and asked you to come and recover the grove from a dying tree, she even explained that it was crucial that it be you because it had to be done correctly. Otherwise, risking the overall um, likelihood of the grove even surviving the ordeal. And so that's why the Namir came to Tormal many years ago to help this specific woman and her grove of Furbolg. So she is, in this case, she represents a group of exclusively, like, well, or relatively exclusively Furbolg people. And yes, because of that specificity and dedication to this place, she was very careful about it. She was there the entire time the Namir worked, and you saw she cared a lot about the place itself.
Okay. Without really letting her know that I know who she is, I will just lean over and be like, "So, how's the Grove doing?"
Namir is doing very well because of you and your kind.
Wasn't sure if it was presumptuous to assume that you'd remember someone that came in and helped out your trees for about a week.
I would never forget a face who brought life to my people and my land.
Well,
Though I
it is our
remember your mother more fondly.
most people do. She's a force.
She was quite forceful.
Well, she's the reason why we're as careful as we are, at least nowadays. She likes to have things end out a certain way. She usually gets her way.
To all of our benefit.
I I was just saying to my companions earlier how I didn't expect to see anyone from home. Uh, strange things happen every day, I suppose.
The Grove has opened up quite a bit since you've come. Um, we welcome outsiders to our land, knowing now that we have the means to take care of it and those who come to it. And with that has brought introductions to new challenges to our life. And some of that being meeting these families here.
So you're newer to this circle.
Certainly. We lived in seclusion for many, many generations before we even sought the help of the Namir. In a lot of ways, meeting the Namir opened us up to where we are now.
Well, I certainly don't want to take credit for all that, but it's nice to
It,
know that what you do does some good for people.
it was necessary.
Do you mind just one person of the land to another? Where do these folks fall in your estimation?
Rich folks.
The ones we're sitting and dining with this evening.
Well, I hope our conversation can bring them a little closer to the land, but I'm realistic to what they've developed at their own place. Though I'm here to prove them that not all of the luxuries they experience are quite necessary to live a fulfilling life.
What do you mean by that?
Well, I think they certainly thrive off the land a little too healthily, we should say.
haven't. God, it's been so long. I haven't even checked the growth nearby to see if it's doing well. See if it's normally it's the first thing I do. New place I go, make sure that the plants are healthy, that the ecosystems function, and I haven't even given a second thought. Is Solene struggling with its wildlife and nature?
Celine less so. I do like it here, and the land seems to like it here as well. The animals linger. Um, but some of the other families, I think, could use some inspiration from the Darlingtons here in Celine.
Get the sense that some of these folks here might be a little bit less than friends and more seeking to gain from their association with the Darlingtons.
I think many of the people here are afraid, frankly.
Afraid of what?
I'm not too sure. One another. Not quite. But not the land. Hmm?
I said, well, all right then. It's good to know that the environment's not the problem. Uh, although I do get a sense of unease that these folks might not be as close as they let on.
You feel that too. It's the earth speaking to you.
I I try to get a sense of where I am most times. If there's anything that you hear or find out about, I'd much appreciate knowing. My Finn is a good friend, and well, I don't want to see him or his family get caught out unawares.
Um, roll a persuasion check for me.
Let me pull my skills up. Persuasion +7 to persuasion. Let's go. That's an 18.
18. Okay. And who are you sitting with amongst du jour?
I'm
You
sitting
have
with Buttons.
buttons. Okay. With your persuasion check, and I'm going to suggest Buttons participating. Buttons, can you make I know this is crazy, a history check for me? I know.
Yes.
As my barbarian, I'm sorry. You know what? Do it with advantage because your organization has been doing some trade.
Well, 11.
Okay. Um, with Kieran's um persuasion check and Button's history check, you both glance at each other, and let's say collectively a thought comes to you both. Though you are not familiar with all of the noble families, of course, as you've quickly throughout the dinner have learned of where these people represent, loosely where they represent, places they come from. There is a nation missing from the table, from this quadrant. You picture the map, the top left-hand corner, you have Tormal, you have the Garridans, you have Celine, you have Lunaris, you have Fensworth, you have Adaria, you have Ingress. You do not have Mirgan. You even have Durlin's Key, a rather small nation off to its side. There is no family, no noble family representing the land of Mirgan.
Where whatchamacallit is from?
Highly. Um.
And with your
Yeah.
persuasion check, I will say, Kieran,
Yeah.
um, though new to the group, and certainly new to the style of negotiation, our Furbolg, and I think she does already have a name from those notes I saw. It's on her picture. Sorry. I think it's like Nanara. Narani. Her name's Narani.
Nirani.
Narani is from Tamal or Tamale, which is extremely close to Mirgan. And you can see with that, though different from the rest of this group, there might be something that brings her here to meet with these families. It's just a hunch, though.
Something. So something that to do with Mirgan that brings her to this.
Potentially.
Okay. Now you're gonna have to forgive me. I've been out of touch with what's been going on for a long time. Usually I'm bopping around and I get pieces of information here and there. We were at one point traveling with an individual from Mirgan, uh, who was uh, a friend, maybe not for a long while, but for a while at least, and just curious if there's any news. Kind of an important person, I'd say.
Huh.
The Princess Kylie.
Oh, well, I'm not quite sure what Mirrigan is dealing with in its own lands. Do you still
Um,
keep in contact with her?
no, we haven't heard anything in months. What do you mean, Mirrigan doesn't keep in touch with the? Are they not trading with others? Are they not? Are there not people coming and going from Mirgan just like anywhere else?
There has been no word out of Mirrigan for many, many months.
No word at all from an entire landmass.
That's correct.
I'm surprised that there isn't a greater state of alarm around that. That's uncommon.
And that's where you're wrong, Kieran. There is great alarm.
See, I appreciate you telling me that. Doesn't necessarily set my mind at ease, but no one is better than being blindsided by it.
Continue to listen to the land. It will lead you to the right place, and it's led you here, and not to Mirrigan. That's all I will say of now.
Of course. This is a happy evening. I certainly don't mean to throw a dark cloud over things. To the land.
Another cheers to the land. I know we've run, 45 minutes longer than we normally do. What, Kayleen?
Bum bum
Yeah, I think
bum.
that's a good enough note for us to think about. Though I'm sure there's a lot more for us to uncover. Yeah, I think that's a good place for us to end off. I don't know how to wrap up the video now. Do we want to do highlights, or we don't really?
We
There's
do need to do DM and all that, don't we?
Yeah. Um. Sorry, I'm thinking. There's so many good moments. It's a longer session. There's a lot more to think about.
Yeah, it was really good stuff.
I had so many, you guys.
Gotta pick.
I know. It's easier when you guys will talk about it because I can gauge it.
But then,
What are
then we
what
can
are
say
your
our
favorite?
favorite
I
one.
need your favorite moments. I didn't realize it helps me.
One of my favorite moments was one of the first moments. It was the Bira and Brick conversation interaction. I loved that instinct of Bira's to go to Brick, who is like protective and just like a hype woman. Like I love their dynamic and their friendship, and it's really cute to see.
Mhm.
Mine was when Mest broke open the whole Darlington nonsense. Like, shattered what was the weird feeling, so we don't have to kill everyone.
I still don't understand what the Darlington nonsense is.
They haven't announced the wedding, so we can't talk about it.
Which is nonsense. Why would you not want us that? Your family's
There's got
insane,
to be a
Finn.
reason.
Especially like the descending the staircase thing. Like also great moment. That was like everything of this perfectly orchestrated night was really good, Paige. It was perfectly orchestrated. But like, yeah,
You
think
guys
they would
came
have
up with
announced
those
it.
items.
No, but like a lot of it, you prompted us, and you came up with the staircase, which I thought was like a lovely intro.
I like big world stuff. I like these nations, and I like the Kylie play-in. I think that's cool potentially. That there's like a bigger thing happening there, and we were at the beginning of it, and we technically could have gone and done something about it, maybe all those weeks ago. I liked the detect thoughts as well. That's funny.
Yeah.
It would have worked better if I had paid more attention to the feet. Oh well.
I still like the choice of being ballsy and detecting the thought of, I would argue, two of the most important people in the room, given the circumstance.
Wasn't
So-
terribly illuminating, unfortunately.
You say that now, and then you guys are gonna figure it out, and you're like, I really do appreciate the cojones of doing it, and I do want to give my demonstration to Colin with that detect thoughts.
It's
Political
not deserved.
I don't know. I thought it was pretty interesting. It was good. It was fun to think about it mechanically and how to implement it. And I think it's going to take some creative concepts to get the full picture. As you know, I do like to see how you guys just communicate with somebody to get answers, and only when certain things strike do I ask you to roll things or consider other things. So are a lot of these people going to be open books? Probably not. So we're going to have to get creative on how to get some of these answers. And I think Colin set that off really interestingly. If we do want to keep delving into like the political intrigue of what might be happening here.
Would you have let us get through this dinner just like surface level, like
Yeah.
completely without realizing anything, and just like have a pleasant dinner?
Yeah, it's one of the
Oh,
reasons
wow.
why I wanted to preface this, that like if we're interested in political intrigue, this could be a moment for it to let some people think about it that way, to approach it that way. But you guys could have been goofy and been like, we're gonna fuck with the Darlingtons the whole time, and that would have been totally fine too.
Aw.
And in fact, I'm sure some of you might have been spurred on because you would have quickly realized that there's no official announcement yet, which would potentially provide hope to some. So that was also intentional.
It's only a joke.
I know. But yeah, we'll see what else we figure out. We've got a lot of people here. We have a lot of different elements at play, and we have a lot of things to figure out in regards to what's going on in the world and what could happen here. So, are we all good for next week? Is everyone here next Wednesday?
I will not be.
We'll double check. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Thank you guys. I hope you had fun. I know it's definitely different format, different the themes, and I appreciate you guys giving it a shot. So I hope you enjoyed it. And that's where we will wrap up. So what do we say to the internet?
Good night,
Good
internet.
night, internet.
Good night, internet.
I'm gonna switch off.